James Trafford says he always knew he'd return to Man City after his move back to the Etihad was confirmed. Burnley say it's a record figure for a British goalkeeper, claiming it's £31 million plus add-ons and a sell-on clause. Well, Trafford spent 2 years at Turf Moor, having signed from City for £19 million. Well, another English goalkeeper is also on the move. talkSPORT understands Aaron Ramsdale has agreed to join Newcastle. The Magpies will pay Southampton an initial £4 million loan fee, and there's an option to buy next summer. Well, despite Ramsdale getting relegated from the Premier League 3 times before turning 27, Alex Crook and Alan Brazil both reckon it's a smart acquisition.
The reaction from Newcastle fans is mixed, I think, on Aaron Ramsdale. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he's a brilliant character. I think once he gets in that team, he will build up a bond with the Newcastle fans, and they will grow to love him.
I'm with you.
I think this could be a really good signing.
Do you know who loves him? Ray Parlour loves him. He's a great guy and a great goalkeeper.
Yeah, he is.
I'm with you.
At Man United, they've honed in on Benjamin Sesko and Ollie Watkins as their 2 targets up front. Ben Jacobs has told talkSPORT why the Villa man is being considered by the top brass at Old Trafford.
Is consistent with Cunha and Mbumo, players for the now. Again, the fee there is £60 million or €70 million if they just met the asking price today. But some Manchester United sources feel that if Villa find a replacement, their not for sale stance or their high price may drop.
Well, talkSPORT also understands another forward, Daniel Ndoye, has now completed his move from Bologna to Nottingham Forest. And if you thought the Test series between England and India was already a bit aggy, it's just gone to another level. This time the row was between India's head coach Gautam Gambhir and the Oval's head groundsman Lee Fortis. This after Fortis asked the India squad to move away from the main square while practising. Gambhir's reply was, "You're just a groundsman, don't tell us what to do." Oh, you're odd. There's plenty more at talksport.com.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Perry Groves with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT, where this afternoon we'll cover all the burning issues in the world of football, including how the ongoing Isak saga is affecting Newcastle, what more Manchester United need to do in the window to be competitive, the best move for Jack Grealish's World Cup chances, and I suppose some Arsenal if we must. We'll also wonder what it would be like if all football managers named their teams as early as Andy Farrell. We'll look at the ups and downs of returning to your old club, sympathise with the nomadic footballer as they traipse from one mansion to another, and we'll discover if Perry was partial to a bit of showboating. My guess is yes, but we'll find out in a few moments. There's all this, plus we'll build up to tomorrow's 4th test between England and India at the Oval, and we'll bring you 5 more live races from glorious Goodwood with Rupert Bell and Lizzie Kelly. It is 4 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Perry. Lovely to see you again.
Afternoon, Paul. Good.
Yeah, not too bad. We've got North London Derby tomorrow, Perry. Getting nervous?
What? We spoke off air, didn't we, about pre-season games, and I know a lot of fans looking at it and see like the team shapes and how the teams look in and how fit they're looking, whatever. All it is about players not getting injured.
Yeah,
that was all when I was pre-season. You just don't want to get injured to make sure you're fit.
I mean, in your day, you never would have played a North London derby.
No chance.
A couple of
because
weeks
if there's one game that you knew you could get injured, would be the North London derby. And I know these days it's obviously because of the money involved, and the product of the Premier League and kind of get all the revenue in, but that wouldn't even have been in the equation.
Yeah.
No chance.
I mean, it's one of those things also you don't read much. As a fan, you think, I was only... Really, success and failure, you should treat the same way. If you have a good pre-season, you think, we've had a good pre-season. That means we'll have a bad start to the season. But a North London derby, you don't want to go out there and get pumped, do you, really?
You don't. It's a little bit of pride that kicks in, without any shadow of a doubt. So, and just watching the games, obviously, we've been in Singapore, and now this game's going to be in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
The actual pace of the game has actually been pretty good. The games that I've watched Arsenal play, the one against Newcastle, because there was a little bit of edge in that as well because of the history of Newcastle being our nemesis. Do you know what I mean? So there was a little bit of edge in it. So, I would just, you'd jump out the way of tackles. But George Graham wouldn't be very happy. But you're never fully fit. What I call match Premier League fit, or when we was the old First Division, because you're always, the first 20, 25 minutes, you're always breathing out your backside of the first game you see. It takes you about 3 or 4 games to get into
of the proper season.
Exactly, yeah. But you can lose all your pre-season games. You win your first game. Yeah. No one cares. No. I think in my year at Norwich City under Mike Walker, who was the goalkeeper when I was at Colchester United, he was their manager. I think it was about 92, 93, or it might have been the year before, 91, 92. They come third in the Premier League, I think, that season.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they didn't win a pre-season game. Yeah. And then he played us at Highbury, and we were 2-0 up after about 35 minutes, and everybody's thinking, well, Norwich are in a relegation battle. And all of a sudden, they scored a quick goal, they beat us 4-2, and they just went on from there and say no one gives a rat's backside.
So that's the springboard, the first game of the season, really.
And then it calms everybody down. Exactly. Yeah. Everybody just calms down, doesn't they, and goes, okay, get the first win under your belt, and then hopefully you get that little bit of momentum.
We want to get the listeners going on a bit of showboating today, and this was a story from the world of snooker. And if you've seen this story today, Karen Wilson, he could have made history at the Shanghai Masters, and he got to 97 and did a no-look shot, missed the black. And I think it would have been a record for the amount of centuries in a game had he done it. But he just thought, I'm here to entertain, I'm not, it's just a bit of fun. And he obviously wants to win as well. But he said, I keep the entertainment value up. He said, the sport's blowing up here and a lot of things are done differently. I thought I'd have a bit of fun. The crowd would appreciate it. Yep. But he didn't realise I was saying, right. So a no-look shot, just kind of looked away.
You turn away and look at the crowd, and he missed it completely. Not the ball, but he missed the pocket. It was an easy pot. I'm not sure if his opponent would have been, as happy with it, because you're obviously getting beat and he's showboating. I tried once under George Graham where I was quick. I had to run around. I was very, very quick, run around, be a nuisance. I remember being one-on-one with Stuart Pearce, actually, and I tried to do a foot over. And as I did the foot over, I actually trod on the top of the ball and fell over, and Stuart Pearce just looked at me saying, what are you doing? And just run away with it. Half-time, George Graham went round the whole team like, the back four, nice and tight, you're winning your headers, winning your 50-50s, midfield, right? And he went, and you... Yeah. Don't you ever try and do that again, or I'll find your week's wages. As if to say, you're not good enough to showboat. Right? That was but the best one ever that I've on showboating. There was you remember him, player called Ian Anderson. Scored, obviously.
Infamously.
In the
1-0 down,
semi-finals. But he was, when I was an apprentice, he was Colchester United star player. And he ended up going to Arsenal. Lucky enough, I followed him, right? But he was injured, and he come and played to the reserves on a Tuesday night for Colchester United reserves against Earls Cone FC, obviously a non-league team. Wow. Like they're all like carpenters and plumbers and lorry drivers, whatever. And he was playing on the left wing, and they had a right fullback who, let's say Giacomo shorts, quite, have the elastic shorts, right? Yeah. So his nickname was Blimpy and Anderson. So Blimpy's taking him on, and every time he went past him, he went, Ray! Went past him, Ray! And I actually felt sorry for this rotund right back. And Ian nutmegged him, Ray! Scored. And we go 1-0 up. So, and it's a big game for us because they're playing at Low Road, which is a league stadium. They never played there. Blimpy gets the ball wide on the left, and there used to be a wall that went round Low Road. Yeah. And the right back came up to Anderson and he cantoned him, and I reckon he probably took him at the hip and then at the shoulders, and he went over the wall, right? And as he went over the wall, in timing, the right back went, "Way!" and the announcer got stretchered off. He got stretchered off round the back of the goal at Lower Road end. And as he was getting stretchered off, the right full-back had to go and take a goal kick. And as he went, "Way!" as he got wheeled off and then went back the other side. "Way!"
Oh, no.
And he didn't play for three weeks.
Wow.
He actually did him completely. I was wetting myself. It was superb.
The perils of Showboat. Years ago, when we were doing fantasy football, the late, great Jeff Astle, I just got chatting to him once in the sort of canteen when I first started working on the show. And he said, "Who you support?" I said, "I'm a Tottenham fan." And I just got chatting. I said, "I saw you play a lot, Jeff, at our place, etc." He says, I remember playing once against Steve Perryman, now legendary skipper. And he said he was still a very young player. I think he was only maybe first or second season. And he's put the ball through my legs, he said, and he's gone nuts, Astor, or something like that, as he's run off. And he said he was a good player, though, Perryman. He said very, very good, always very impressed. And then he sort of talked him up. So I said, what happened after that? He said, well, next time I got anywhere near him, I kicked him right up in the air. Which okay, Jeff.
Just put him in your place.
But that was the law of the jungle.
Get back in your box.
In the late 60s.
But if you're going to showboat, whatever you do, you got to make sure that it comes off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you look a complete whatever.
Well, whether it was on the field of play or not, maybe you did it at work, maybe wherever you did it. But we are looking for a bit of showboating this afternoon. Who were the kings of it? I mean, Frank Worthington and stuff. Actually, George, that's a bit rich. George used to like to do a little bit of that, didn't he, Graham? Back in his playing days?
He used to stroll around people.
Yeah.
I can remember, I think Fulham fans, because Rodney Marsh and George Best played together, didn't they?
They did Fulham,
and there was a lot of showboating that went on there because they were too good for that level.
There's a cup game. I met Les Strong a little while ago and watched an old cup match that they played in, Bestie and Marsh. I can't remember who it was against. But it's all, I mean, they were well up in the game and they were well on top. But it was practically all showboating. Yeah. It was Billy Smart country.
It was like the Chuckle Brothers, to meet you, meet you.
But we're interested in some of your tales of it this afternoon, whether it was in sport or not. And did it come off? Did it make you look like a bit of an idiot? Who knows? 03717 22 3344. talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH&J. One of the listeners, not put their name on it, says one of the great British showboaters was Lee Trundle. We often, funny enough, who took over from Jeff in the last series of fantasy football as the singer at the end. Skills to pay the bills and the end product to back it up. He was a scorer of great goals, Lee, wasn't he? And also, still is. He's still playing, I think.
It looks better. Lee Trundle was left-footed. I remember, like, he was fairly big when he was probably about 5'11", 6 foot, but left-footed players always look miles more graceful. And he loved a 35-yarder, didn't he, Lee Trundle, or a little lob from just in the centre circle.
So let's have some of your tales of it, the ones that came off, the ones that didn't, and the ones maybe you were a victim of, or the ones there was a bit of retribution involved, as Perry was just saying. talksport.com/H&J, text to 81089, tweet to TSH&J 03717 223344. We're going to be going racing shortly. Our first race of the afternoon's almost upon us, glorious Goodwood. And we'll be catching up with Rupert Bell and Lizzie Kelly once again. They're going to have their little tipsters competition, and either myself or Perry will draw the short straw to see who is Team Rupert. Team Lizzie won yesterday. We'll tell you more about that in a few moments' time. As always, we're here with Toolstation. This summer, shop Toolstation's award-winning Hawksmoor Longmire range in-store, on the app and online. Next stop, Toolstation. Just before we talk racing, we head back to the Moose. Liverpool in pre-season action, and we had another goal, Moose.
Yokohama 1, Liverpool 3. You're talking about Max Dowman later. Watch out for the name Rio Engamoa of Liverpool. Brilliant talent, individual goal, running at the defence, firing home just inside the box. Yokohama 1, Liverpool 3.
Thanks very much, Moose. Yeah, we'll have a full-time report on any more goals with Moose later on. Jeff Peters, Phil, but the Fox tells us, talking of pre-season, the importance of it. Oh, nice. Leicester could only scratch a 1-1 draw with Mansfield at one pre-season. That was ahead of the 2015-16 season, where they went on to win the Premier League. So, proving the point, Jeff.
The thing is, I think Jeff could have a narrative of any story, couldn't he, to link it in with Leicester from that season. Anything comes in. Yeah, remember when just before Leicester won it?
Well, let's go racing, shall we? We've got 5 races from glorious Goodwood. Joining us once again, your dream team commentary. It is Rupert Bowe and Lizzie Kelly. Good afternoon, guys.
Good
afternoon.
Well, it's that time again. We have the tipsters competition. It was 3-1 to Lizzie yesterday. 3 points for predicting the winner, 2 points for getting second, 1 for getting third. One of us, Perry, will have to be Team Rupert. The other one will be Team Lizzie. I've got 2 straws behind me. The one who draws the short straw
gets Rupert Bear, literally Rupert.
Where are you going
Bear,
with?
I'm going with the one to my right, to your left.
Oh, I've got him again.
See that confidence?
I've got him again.
You ever thought a bit of motivational speaker at all, Paul? No?
No, I'm sure we'll do really well
Come on,
today,
Lizzie.
Rupert. This is the day. So,
can I just say, just before we start, because in celebration of Lizzie's fantastic start yesterday, we have been brought some Ridgeview Fitzrovia Rosé, which is an English sparkling wine to celebrate the success. And
you say we, she can't drink it because she's 8 months pregnant.
Well, she is very disciplined.
Okay.
Had a little drop, and I can confirm it is lovely.
Okay, just a sip. Just had a sip.
You can sniff the straw.
I'll have a glug.
Yeah, of course you will. Right. You glug away, Rupert. Yeah, I'm sure it won't affect your commentary. So let's get your tips.
Good.
Oh, nice. Coral pipped at the post handicap, Lizzie. What do you think? While he's getting drunk, what do you think?
Well, I've actually gone a little bit unexpected. I'm going for Cape Breton. He's quite a big price. He was 12-1 this morning.
Okay.
As an each-way choice. His last performance was at Salisbury. Rafe Beckett likes sending horses to Salisbury. He sends nice horses there. It was impressive. He made all. He didn't really beat much, but Salisbury's a stiff test, and so's Goodwood. So I thought there was plenty to like about that performance. And as I said, he's a nice each-way prospect.
Okay, and Rupert?
Sure.
Actually, that's your best tip ever, Rupert.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, stick with that one.
Very hot deep straight away. Anyway, I'm going for Novelista. Who's ran really well in defeat. Almost looked like it won the race last time out. And I think Novelista, Charlie Johnston, their family have always had a pretty good record down here at Glorious Goodwood with their runners. And I think William Buick will, of course, be riding Field of Gold later on in our big race, the Sussex Stakes. But for me, Novelista, again, and is being backed around about a 4-1 chance. So fingers crossed, get off to a flying start, and we can lay the mist to rest than I'm the worst tipster ever.
Yes, well, let's hope so. So on a sad note, Lizzie, we heard overnight about True Shan that was fatally injured in the race. Holly Doyle said she was devastated. I wasn't aware of that while we were bringing everybody the race, but that was very sad.
Yeah, it was awful. We didn't hear about it until a little bit later. Obviously, you have to be careful to not put stuff out too early when we don't know the absolute full story. And look, it was awful, and it actually just sort of basically ruined the whole day, I think, for a lot of people. And he was such a likeable horse, a horse that Holly Doyle had such an amazing association with. She'd ridden him in 25 of his 27 races, I think, and Alan King minded him, made sure that he never ran him on ground that was, too quick, and we had a lot of times where True Shan was brought to the races and didn't run, and it was nobody's fault. It was just a freak accident. He fractured a hind pastern, and just basically fractured his ankle, and it's just a an injury that racehorses just simply can't come back from, well, most horses.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was awful, and you know, we could try and put it aside to enjoy the racing, but obviously, you know, that's not always the easiest thing to do.
And she's riding today, I take it.
Yeah, she is indeed, and that will be tough for her. She was riding later on in the day yesterday as well.
Wow.
No, it's not easy, but she handled it with real professionalism.
Thanks, Lizzie. Rupert, I think we're more or less ready to go.
Well, I tell you what, Sing Us a Song, no, he is getting a bit fractious in the stalls, and James Doyle has had to get off the horse. He's standing, and the stall handler's gone in just to try and settle Sing Us a Song down. He's got a bit worked up, Lizzie.
Yep, and it looks like that is one of the stalls handlers sorting him out. He's getting reversed back out of the stalls. Kate Brereton is the last one to go in. He's waiting patiently just behind him. I wouldn't be surprised if Sing Us a Song doesn't run as a result of that.
Yeah, so we saw that a couple of times yesterday as well. So, and it does look, is he going to get back on board? I think he is. You can see, yes. Whoa, and another one rearing up is also Jupiter Ammon has suddenly got very unsettled in the stalls. So, very sort of almost unusual to see this going on, because normally these horses are very experienced. But Sing Us a Song has been led forward this time, so I think we're set for our first race. 1.5 is the trip. It's uphill to begin with straight away, and they're off and racing and looking to see who's going to try and take an early lead. Sing Us a Song actually has gone into a lead. Cape Breton is right up there as well, and Jupiter Ammon is another one in a prominent position as they settle down towards the rail. Madawi likes to be a pace setter wide on the outside. I can see Novelista coming sort of about 6 or 7 wide off the running rail as they go up the rising ground. But leading them, Cape Breton has the advantage from wide on the outside. Novelista, who tracks over towards the leader, Cape Breton. A little gap back then to Jupiter Ammon, who got a bit unruly in the stands. I can see Sing Us a Song now has settled into 4th position with Madawi. Then on the outside of that one is Sadu. Then Karaka is towards the rear, Omni Man, and the back marker is Tuscan Star. They've settled down. That was a bit of a messy start, Lizzie.
It was a messy start, but Cape Breton, he's taking them along now. Novelista is a little bit keen. I wouldn't say they're going too quickly. A couple of them keen. Sing Us a Song is another one, but they've just increased the pace a little bit, and everyone's just beginning to settle down.
Yep, Richard Kingscott on board Cape Breton. Lizzie's selection leading by a couple of lengths from Novelista as they go tracking that far rail. With on the inside of that one is Oshin Murphy on Jupiter Ammon. A little get back to Mdawi. Omni Man seemingly travelling away, and taking a keen hold is Sidhu, one of the market leaders.
Yeah, I'd say Ryan Moore is happy where he is on Omni Man, a fancied runner in this. Tuscan Star is the back marker, but they're just beginning to come down the hill into the straight.
And that's when they'll accelerate down. They're going around about 30 miles an hour, but expect that to go significantly quicker as they make the turn into the straight with about 5.5 furlongs to go. Cape Breton still has the advantage. Novelista, Jupiter Ammon tracking the 2 leaders. Sing Us a Song is still in 4th with Mdawi on the inside. Then it's a little gap back to Sudu. The back marker is still Tuscan Star, and Omni Man has got a lot of ground to make up, but still out in front. Cape Breton now, as the pace is really on now, up to nearly 40 miles an hour. Then on the outside, Novelista, and Novelista's jockey William Buick says go. Picking up his Sudo on the outside, Sing Us a Song. Another one picking up his Karaka on the outside, but Novelista still has the advantage now with Cape Breton. These two trying to pick up his Jupiter Ammon coming from the rear. Maybe Karakas could get into the race, but Novelista with a furlong and a half to go just has it. But Cape Breton is battling on the fine side. Omni Man has got a clean split, and Omni Man is travelling best of all. Also flying is Karaka, but it's going to be Omni Man who got the split, has come through. Flying at Mdawi may have snatched second, but they were maybe 2.5 lengths behind Omni Man, who was always travelling well for Ryan Moore, as Lizzie highlighted during the race. And when the split came, Ryan Moore was able to press the button and send the horse home to win.
Absolutely, he ran a lovely race at Royal Ascot last time on his handicap debut. He's really backed that up today with that performance. I thought that was a fantastic performance. Very much Ryan Moore able to wait in the wings, not worry too much about getting involved in the early pace. And as much as Richard Kingscote tried to control everything from the front, he wasn't able to be quick enough to sprint away from them when it really mattered.
And Omni-Man returning the 8-1 winner. I think Mdawi may have come from out of the pack to snatch second, but they were all just playing for minors. Once that running rail, which they got the false running rail, Ryan Moore was able to exploit that. There was plenty of gap for him to run through and come away a winner by a couple of lengths. So Joseph O'Brien, Ryan Moore, off to a flying start here in our opener with that convincing win at a tidy, as I say, 8-1.
Just for a moment as we headed to the line, it looked like we had a Team Rupert, Team Lizzie head-to-head, didn't we? Kate Breton, Novelista were going back. They tailed off, sadly. But
not too bad.
No.
But they finished in a heap behind.
You didn't get this. Neither of you were placed, I take it. I don't think you were you?
No, mine did run a nice race. I think what's interesting about the result here, though, chaps, is actually that this horse finished behind a horse called Merchant at Royal Ascot. Merchant runs tomorrow. So his form has been franked. So it might be worth having a little look at the 2:30 tomorrow and having a look at Merchant. I thought he had a nice chance, but obviously if the race is going to work out very well, he'll be much shorter.
Yeah.
He'll be getting shorter all the time now.
Sure. Okay, Merchant then tomorrow in the 2:30. Perry, you were on Omni-Man when you fancied it.
Yeah, it's one win and he improved in every race. Yeah. So actually, Omni-Man, you might remember there was a 400-metre, 800-metre runner from Cuba called Wantarina.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when he was always last?
He was
always
last. Opened his legs and showed his class, as David Coleman said.
Exactly, always last, coming round the last bend, wasn't he? And then just opened his leg and showed his class. That was Omni-Man.
So they're
equine equivalent.
The little sporting link there. Perfect. Guys, back to you later. Thanks very much. Rupert Barrow and Lizzie Kelly, our commentary team, for 4 more races to come from glorious Goodwood. We're going to have a chat with Curtis Davis next. The EFL season gets underway on Friday night on talkSPORT. Luton Town versus AFC Wimbledon. We'll be assessing the chances of the teams across the EFL. Curtis played for a fair few of them over the years, didn't he? I suppose Hull and Derby are the ones when I immediately think of him. So we'll be talking about the league, who's going to do well, who might struggle. And that's all coming up very shortly. Thanks for all your emails and text, by the way. We've had some very good showboating ones. Just a very quick one. Showboating at work, says Lee, the Leeds fan. Made a cup of tea. A few people in the kitchen. I went to throw the tea bag over my shoulder into the bin. Didn't see my boss walk in behind me. Tea bag down his bright white shirt.
Tea bag, literally.
Yeah, not a happy boss. Well, not literally. So there we are. Let us know your ones at work as well as the ones on the field of play. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. Don't there's been any showboating going on from Liverpool against Yokohama today? I think the Moose has the full-time details for us.
No, they don't. Yokohama 1, Liverpool 3. You're talking about a real teenage talent at Arsenal in Max Dowman a little bit later in the show. Well, Liverpool have got their own coming through their academy, and 2 scored here. When Aka surprisingly put Yokohama ahead early in the second half, only for Florian Wirtz to round off a brilliant move involving Curtis Jones and Mo Salah to make it 1-1, and then the kids stepped up. 18-year-old Trey Naomi managed to score to make it 2-1, and then a 16-year-old who came through at Chelsea's academy and joined Liverpool last year really stole the headlines near the end. Rio Nugama is his name. An individual run pretty much from the halfway line, drove inside the half and then got to the edge of the penalty area before right-footed putting the ball in the back of the net. Watch out for those names because Liverpool have got some talented kids as well. Overall, Ekatike did well in the first half when he was on the pitch. Frimpong impressed certainly in the second, and Wirtz got a goal. Liverpool will have to tighten up at the back, but they've won this one comfortably in the end thanks to their kids. It finished Yokohama 1, Liverpool 3.
James Trafford says he always knew he'd return to Man City after his move back to the Etihad was confirmed. Burnley say it's a record figure for a British goalkeeper, claiming it's £31 million plus add-ons and a sell-on clause. Well, Trafford spent 2 years at Turf Moor, having signed from City for £19 million. Well, another English goalkeeper is also on the move. talkSPORT understands Aaron Ramsdale has agreed to join Newcastle. The Magpies will pay Southampton an initial £4 million loan fee, and there's an option to buy next summer. Well, despite Ramsdale getting relegated from the Premier League 3 times before turning 27, Alex Crook and Alan Brazil both reckon it's a smart acquisition.
I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he's a brilliant character. I think once he gets in that team, he will build up a bond with the Newcastle fans, and they will grow to love him.
I'm with you.
I think this could be a really good signing.
Do you know who loves him? Ray Parlour loves him. He's a great guy and a great goalkeeper.
Yeah, he is.
I'm with you.
At Man United, they've honed in on Benjamin Sesko and Ollie Watkins as their 2 targets up front. Ben Jacobs has told talkSPORT why the Villa man is being considered by the top brass at Old Trafford.
I'm told is a deal that's been put forwards by Ruben Amorim and is consistent with Cunha and Mbeumo, players for the now.
There's plenty more at talksport.com.
I think we're delighted to say that the EFL returns this weekend. The first game is Friday night. It's Luton Town versus AFC Wimbledon in League One, and we bring you that exclusively. We're home of the EFL throughout the season. Cardiff posh on Saturday. Adrian's around the grounds on Saturday afternoon. Then we've got Bradford Wickham, and on Sunday Stockport Bolton. A lot of people tipping up Stockport to go one better and come up this season. Let's get the thoughts now of a man who played for a number of clubs in the EFL and beyond, and it's the former defender of Hull City, Derby County and more, Curtis Davis. Hi, Curtis.
Hi, mate. I'm glad you said more because we could have been there all day.
We could, yeah. I mean, that's right. I often feel like that with players because fans get annoyed. They say, "Well, you didn't mention Villa, or you didn't mention it."
You just say a plethora of
that's
clubs.
it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Basically, mostly in that hub of the Midlands as well. So, yeah.
That's it. Well, maybe we should kick off with the Championship. It is an interesting season. I suppose you often look to the teams that came down to bounce back immediately. And looking at the betting, a lot of people quite fancy Saints and Ipswich to do that. Not that many fancy Leicester.
I'm in that same camp when it comes to the teams that have relegated. I think I fancy Ipswich and Southampton. Ipswich have obviously kept Kieran McKenna, which is a big thing. They've kept most of their squad. Southampton have employed Will Still, an exciting young manager who's done well over in France and kept a lot of their squad. Leicester, I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen with Leicester. So they've obviously changed manager. They've got, in my opinion, a good manager in, but it's all the in the background. We're not sure whether there's going to be any points deductions or anything like that to do with obviously what happened a couple of seasons ago. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting time for Leicester this season. But unfortunately, I do see it being those other 2 relegated teams being right at the top again.
What about the teams obviously coming up? Going to be a lot of interest in Birmingham. Chris Davies obviously doing a brilliant job there, and Wrexham as well. Signed a couple of good players, Josh Windass and Ryan Hardy. With good championship experience.
Yeah, that's it. I think the championship experience that Wrexham have signed, they also had a few championship players in League One, if I'm being honest. Same with Birmingham. I'm fortunate enough to be working on the game for Sky Sports with Birmingham and Ipswich on the Friday when it opens the championship. So that will be an interesting marker to see the promoted team versus the relegated team. But also, Birmingham will fancy themselves. They're a side that recruited in my opinion, a championship side in League One, have come up and then just gone even better. The fact they're able to sell Alfie May and just let him go like that to Huddersfield and then replace him with Kyogo, who's playing in the Champions League with Celtic a couple of seasons ago, just shows the strength that club's got. And like I said, they're trying to get to the Premier League, but they're trying to do it in a hurry.
I might wonder if, Wrexham is a good point, Perry, isn't it? Because you wonder whether they're going to try and just consolidate this year. I mean, just, even a mid-table finish wouldn't be a bad thing to build on. Or, we know that the owners are really ambitious. Maybe in January they'll have a bit of a splurge. Maybe they'll sign Harry Kane or something.
Come on loan. Well, it looks like Wrexham are going to sign Nathan Broadhead as well, doesn't it, from Ipswich?
Yeah.
And he proven in League One and in the Championship. So I think they might think they've got an outside chance of the playoffs.
Wow, okay, it'd be interesting. Some of those teams like there or thereabouts, Cov, who had a pretty decent season. Sheffield United have made a change of manager. And one of your other old clubs, West Brom, I wonder how they'll fare. How do you feel they're going to do next season?
Yeah, I think Sheffield United will be interesting first and foremost to see how they bounce back from the disappointment where, in my opinion, a game where they dominated for pretty much about 3/4 of the game against Sunderland and coming out losing. So that'll be tough for them to take. So the trauma might be there early on, but a new manager, new face, new way of doing things is going to be there, which will hopefully spur them on. And then I think any other outsiders, West Brom have employed Ryan Mason. I'm glad to see a young English manager getting a chance rather than the merry-go-round of others coming from be it abroad or be it other English managers that have had their 8th job. I like the fact that Ryan's done his due diligence and done his hard work at Spurs and worked with some top managers, and now he's ready. But it's just going to be interesting because I always believe that outside last year it was the same. Outside of those relegated teams, there's probably Sheffield United that I expect definitely to be up there.
Yeah.
Other than that, there could be. I think there was one stage. I think it was about 6 games remaining in the season. There was still, I think, about good 12 teams that could get promoted or relegated.
Yeah.
So that's how tight the championship can be. And if you have a decent run at the right time, anyone can either jump in, or if you have a bad run, you can end up getting sucked into that relegation battle.
Curtis, talk about the playoffs. Obviously, Bristol City had a good season last season, but they lose Liam Manning, obviously brilliant manager, to Norwich, who was sort of halfway. How do you see those teams?
Yeah, well, I think Norwich seem to be trying to improve a little bit. Obviously, they're saying that they've tried to improve in terms of with a few cute signings, but they've just lost Belcher Science and Josh Sargent's on his way. So it's tough to replace those goals. That's going to be the big thing, the key factor. Manning's gone in there having done a really good job with a Bristol City side that probably didn't expect to be where they were, but he maintained it and he did really well. Now he's going to a club where, even though they haven't done it in the last few years, because of their Premier League history, there's going to be expectancy. And for him, there's going to be a lot on his shoulders because it's his hometown, it's his club he supported, and they want to make sure that Norwich are there or thereabouts. But Bristol City, I think they'll be fine, but I don't think it will be quite a playoff run this season for Bristol City.
Other end of the table, of course, I see that Sheffield Wednesday are 11th, 4 on to go down. I mean, it is a complete mess there. Let's hope they can get it sorted out. A great club like that, but they are odds on at the moment, and it's not looking good, is it?
No, it's terrible. I went through a situation with Derby County where we end up getting 1 point deduction, we then get another points deduction, and then you just fighting against all sorts of angles. So unfortunately for Sheffield Wednesday, like I say, a good traditional club in English football, they find themselves in a situation where the owners wanted to sell for years, has never been offered the right amount of money. I think he just has to cut his losses, and there'll be someone that surely would want that football club for the right price. But unfortunately, like I say, you don't know what points deductions are coming down the line. We don't know what else is going to happen. They're currently under a fee restriction, not an embargo, we've been told. But it's just if there's more sanctions, it's going to be really, really cruel to those Sheffield Wednesday fans that have pushed them on all these years and cheered them on. They'll be there to the end. I still think they'll be there supporting their side. But it's a sad time when you see clubs like that it can happen to.
Absolutely. We had a chat with Matt Bloomfield yesterday, Curtis, the Luton Town manager. He said pre-season's been going all right. They've lost a couple of players, lost Alfie Doughty, didn't they, to Millwall, and he was telling us about that. But I think they're pretty fancy. Stockport, as I said, who were so close last season, and Huddersfield, Bolton, they're getting lots of mentions as well. So again, it'd be an interesting season in League One.
Yeah, I think you've been listening to what I've been saying. I said Luton Town. I fancy Luton Town to win it based on not only their squad, they've added, the likes of Saville and Naki Wells. In my opinion, they lacked a bit of leadership last year in Championship, so a few senior players that are not only senior in terms of can lead, but they're just good quality players, particularly in League One, they'll show good qualities. I think with Stockport, I think they were a fantastic team. I think they were unlucky in the playoffs against Leyton Orient, probably the better team over the two legs football-wise, and I think Dave Challoner, with his promotion history, will make sure that they're right there or thereabouts to possibly go one better and get automatic. My outsiders I'd go for is probably Huddersfield.
Okay, yeah.
I think based on Lee Grant has gone in there as a new young manager with a new young coaching staff, yes, but the sign of intent for me was signing Alfie May. A player that has scored 82 goals in League One over the last 4 years. It's all good scoring them for Charlton, it's all good scoring them for Birmingham City, but he scored about 50 of those probably for Cheltenham when they were around the bottom of the league. So he's a fantastic sign-in, and I'm quite excited to see what they do this year.
Excellent.
What about going into League Two? My old club, Colchester United, Danny Cowley and his brother in charge there came very close getting into the playoffs, and the club has been up for sale. But it looks like the American proposed owners have pulled out. I think Lyle Taylor's fitness, because he had the injury towards the end of last season, I think that cost Colchester.
Yeah, they had a really good run and just missed out. I think it was so tight towards the end. It was looking like Walsall, who had been at the top for so long, nearly could have fallen out of the playoffs at one point because of Colchester's form. So it was looking really, really crazy in that league, and it was really, obviously, at the same time exciting. But that's what we want. We want it all to unfold in that way again. But I think for me, when I look at League Two, I can't look past MK Dons.
Yeah.
MK Dons, having signed the likes of Mendes Lang out of the Championship, paid big money for Aaron Collins. They're signing, with, in my opinion, top League One, lower Championship players ready to get promoted. So I think with Paul Warne there as well, former manager of mine, someone that knows how to get promotion, he'll be singing the right tunes to get them up. And also I fancy Bristol Rovers, having had a disappointing last season. I think this season, if they can keep all of their strikers fit, which they had a problem with the year before, I think they'll be there or thereabouts, because Darryl knows that club like the back of his hand, and he knows promotion too.
Okay, I'll tip up Ollie Swindon.
So I was just going to say
playoffs, hopefully, hopefully better than that.
His first pre-season, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe his signings coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Curtis, lovely to talk to you. Hopefully we'll catch up with you during the season. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Curtis.
Curtis Davis there, the former Hull and Derby County defender. Luton, Wimbledon, it all kicks off with. We're delighted to say on Friday night the EFL is back, home of the EFL, here on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. But we've got live racing for you throughout the afternoon, and we're going to mark your card now, courtesy of our friends at Paddy Power.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. Check out Paddy's latest offers on the Paddy Power app or at paddypower.com. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Yes, day 2 of glorious Goodwood, and here with all the latest news and odds is Joe Logue from Paddy Power. Good afternoon, Joe.
Hi lads, how's it going? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. So what do you fancy today?
Well, I'll just give it a little review first of day one, I suppose. And look, it was a really tough day for punters yesterday, and it went away to bookies. So we're hoping that we can get a few winners today. And the first one of interest is in the half 2 at Goodwood, and it's the Molecombe Stakes. Lady and Mama's favourite here. She's making the journey over from Ireland for Ger Lions, and she's a real speedy filly. Goodwood is a real speed favouring track. She runs over the minimum trip of 5 furlongs, but she was more precocious. She was bred a little bit earlier. She's a little bit older than the average 2-year-old. So she started the season really well. I'd be a little bit worried that some of the horses in here will catch up to her, and I think she's plenty short at 7-4. So I'm happy enough to take her on with Military Code, who was second over 5 furlongs at Sandown last time out. And while I do think that the track and trip, it's a slight worry. It might be a little bit sharp for him, but I'm really, really keen to take on the favourite here, and he's the obvious one to do so with. So I'd be hoping Military Code in the half 2. Could get us off to a good start. For in the feature race, the Sussex Stakes, the 305. It's probably not the best betting race in the world, but Field of Gold lines up here. He's the standout 3-year-old. He's the classic winner at the Guineas. He won at Royal Ascot again, and we chatted about him when I was on for Royal Ascot. He was really, really impressive that day, and lines up against rivals here that he probably should be beating. Like I said, he's not really a working man's price at 4-11, but maybe one for punters to stick into the accumulators today. It would be a massive, massive shock if he was to be beaten here. And finally, just to end the piece with Galway, which is also going on this week as well, the Galway Festival in Ireland, the huge festival. That's over jumps this evening, and the Galway Plate. It's actually the feature race of the week. It's on at 6:40, and I'm really, really sweet on a horse here. Down memory lane for JP McManus and Gordon Elliott. He stands out a mile to me. He's totally unexposed. He was behind some really good novice chasers before Cheltenham in the winter peak national hunt season. Summer jumps racing is a little bit easier than winter jumps racing for a real classy horse. It's a tough competitive handicap, but he has the profile of a graded horse that's in a handicap, and I expect he's still improving, especially as he's so unexposed. The trip is a little bit of a question mark, but if he does get the trip, I think he'd be very, very hard to beat, and he's actually the best bet of today. That's down memory lane in the 6:40 at Galway, 5-1 with us currently.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. That's great.
Thank you, lads.
Joe Logue there from Paddy Power. Remember, if you want to keep up with all the latest racing news, Paddy Power's From the Horse's Mouth podcast is available every week, and you can download the latest episode from your usual podcast provider now.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. Check out Paddy's latest offers on the Paddy Power app or at paddypower.com. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Before we talk a bit of Newcastle, before we head back to glorious Goodwood, and Eddie Howe admitting that although the club have a semblance of control over what's going on because they hold his contract, Alexander Isak I'm talking about, obviously. Eddie admitting that they're not in complete control. The balance of power shifted many years ago, didn't it? So it's becoming an interesting situation, this, and not helpful for him, on top of losing Paul Mitchell and having a much busier summer he's been much busier than he wanted to be. It's not been a great summer for Newcastle.
Do you know when you say there you're not in complete control, it means you have no control. It does, because you have total control or you don't have any.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Paul Mitchell there, and you can understand with Isak and his people, because he was promised a new contract and a wage rise, wasn't it? I think he's on 120 grand a week. And let's be honest, he's in the best 3 centre forwards in Europe, and then you'd have to say in the world, right? So then he knows that other players are on his standard £250,000 a week plus. So then if you're offered a contract and then Paul Mitchell comes in, flexes muscle and said, oh, don't worry about it because he's got another 4 years to go yet. And then you win Newcastle's first major trophy for 70 years, scores the winning goal, then quite rightly you're going, I'm not getting paid what I'm worth.
Yeah.
So that Newcastle, unfortunately, because of the PSR rules, they've actually made it that the cartel at the top is really difficult to break in, because they can't spend
with all the money they've got.
Everything they've got. And I don't know if I don't mind, as long as the club has money. They were brought in to stop a Leeds United situation where you're spending money you haven't got, right?
Yeah.
But if you've got money, whatever business are you told that you can't spend it? And I know that the Premier League will say they're trying to protect the heritage and history tradition,
and competitive balance.
But the thing is, the competitive balance, they're not, because no one's be able to break. If you look at the transfer, Arsenal spent 209 million, right? Man City 161 million.
Yeah.
If Liverpool get Isak, at the moment they've spent 293. That'd be 340 million pounds.
Yeah.
So these 3 teams you expect to be challenging, obviously, for the title, they just get stronger and stronger because of all the revenue that they're bringing in.
Sure.
Newcastle never going to be able to compete on that. And I actually think it's a detriment to the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean, you probably need some checks and balances, but I know what you mean. You're not the only person to have said that sort of PSR does kind of keeps the status quo, doesn't it, really, effectively?
Yeah, I know. I get it when they first brought it in, but maybe they can do where you have to put a deposit down. If you want to own a Premier League football club, you have to put 150 million pound deposit down, and then if it does go a bit pear-shaped and you get rogue owners, at least you know you've got the security there. So it has to. I feel sorry for Newcastle fans.
We'll return to this later on because we're going to return to glorious Goodwood now for our second race. Rupert Bell and Lizzie Kelly are waiting to bring us commentary. Again, Team Lizzie versus Team Rupert, 0-0 currently. We go into the second race. Lizzie, what do you favour in this second race this afternoon?
I'm going with Jabara. She actually won this last year before she got demoted as a result of interference. She's run some good races this year and was perhaps a little bit disappointing when she was too keen last time at Chelmsford, but she can be a bit gassy, so she wouldn't want them to go too slow, but she was very tough the time before at Musselburgh.
Jabara, OK. And for you, Rupert?
Well, I do quietly have a secret regard for Jabara, but in time-honoured tradition, because this is a competition, I am going to come up with romantic style. Okay. William Buick was fourth in the 1,000 guineas last year, has got some good form over in the Middle East as well, solid performer. So Charlie Appleby and William Buick to win for me. This is a high-class competition, 0-0, and yesterday we were obviously outstandingly good. We're really hopefully going to rip it up from here on in for the next 2.5 days, but romantic style for me.
Fantastic. There's just a few more to go in at the moment. Rupert, quick Villa question. How are you feeling about Ollie Watkins? You're getting nervous that Manchester United are circling?
Well, people have been circling around Ollie Watkins forever. But my take on it is, brilliant though he is, are we going to get... He's getting a little older. He does occasionally miss more than he puts away. Now, that might sound... I'm basically going against someone who's been brilliant for us. Yeah. Would it be the worst bit of business that we could do?
Interesting. Do you get good money?
But I don't want... 29, isn't he? Is he 29? Yeah. He's finished at 29. Well, when you be my manager, Rupert?
Well, you've got to always move on. And even at 29, let's just say if he stays, he's wholehearted, rarely injured, but you know, if so be it, if we have to find a way of conforming with this wretched PSR, then maybe he has to go. But if he does, I wish him well, but I hope he stays.
OK, we'll see what happens. How was the Ivy, Lizzie, last night? You and Rupert, there we are, hammering the company plastic.
Yeah, thankfully the conversation was more scintillating than that. But yeah, no, it was nice. Thank you. It was very busy. It was a great night, and we had some nice food. And
well, actually, Lizzie's choice of food was large tomato salad,
right? Oh yes,
fish cake, mushy peas, and rice. And what else was with your main course?
No, that was it.
Mushy peas, rice, fish cakes, and tomato salad.
I didn't want the mushy peas, to be fair.
OK, just scrape them onto Rupert's
unsolicited mushy peas.
Unsolicited mushy. I've got a fiver each way on unsolicited mushy peas in the 2:30.
Well, I've got to concentrate on this race now, boys. So we're off and racing in this Group 3 race. 7 furlongs is the trip. Early into the lead, Havana Pusey looks to be one of the early runners. Jabara's right up there, wide on the outside. Bright Thunder looking for a good position early on, but taking them along is Tabiti and Ryan Moore. This time he's going to try and win from the front. Last race he rode a very cagey race on Omni Man, but now it's Ryan Moore out in front on Tabiti, then Sakara Sands in second. In third spot is Havana Pusey. Wide on the outside, Bright Thunder taking a keen hold. Also taking a keen hold is Jabara as they start to make the turn into the straight with about 3.5 furlongs to go. Getting a bit squeezed for room. I can see Silver Ghost not getting quite the split he wanted, but out in front it is Ryan Moore who has the advantage at the moment and leads by a couple of lengths with 3 furlongs to go. Still leading, it is Tabiti. Wide on the outside of this one is is Sakara Sands. Bright Thunder's in a really good position. On the far side, Havana Pusey looking for a way through Jabara. Can they get the split? They come with 1.5 furlongs to go. Still out in front, head down. We've got Russell Ryan on Sakara Sands. We've got Ryan Moore on Tabiti. Coming on this near side, Bright Thunder is starting to fly. Another one coming out of the pack is Jasmine Secret, but Ryan Moore is bravely out in front, still on Tabiti. So Sakara Sands is trying to get there. Sakara Sands and Tabiti. I think Sakara Sands may have got it on the bob, but that's definitely the one that's going to the judge. Both jockeys are looking at each other and saying, which one? Is it Russell Ryan or is it Ryan Moore?
Yeah, that was really tight. Wouldn't be able to call that. Really tight between those two horses at the front there. Ryan Moore's tried to keep it simple with a front-running ride. Sakara Sands was never far away. Romantic Style held up, never really got into it, but you could certainly say that Jabara had plenty of opportunity to win that race, as did Bright Thunder, and neither of them were able to. Very much, just so tight. It'd be interesting to see. The cameraman seems to be focusing on Sakara Sands, but difficult to know.
Both trained by Rafe Beckett. You could hear the oohs and ahs from the crowd as they showed the closing stage. It is definitely on the bob. So the judge, who I can see from my commentary position, is looking at the photograph right now, trying to work out what the result is, and he's definitely got.
He seems to be saying "eeny, meeny, miny, mo."
Indeed. So he's still looking at it. So he's not sure. We may be in. Do you think we could be in dead heat country, or?
Which would be great for Rafe Beckett, because then he's got two happy bunches of owners.
Well,
ideal.
So a really good finish, but the judge is still pondering the outcome of this race. I think he may have made a decision now, because I can see him writing something down, so we may hear the result in a couple of moments, but it was desperately close. A really good race, and that just shows Ryan Moore. This time he wanted to go out from the front the whole way. The horse actually rallied, but Sakara Sands just might have found a way to wear it down. I'll tell you what, the groom of Sakara Sands is in floods of tears, of just the sheer joy of our horse running such a good race. So for Ross Orion, but we're still waiting the outcome.
I think we've got it, Rupert. There's just flashed up on our screen. Sakara Sands is my first, I believe, and Tabiti was second. Is that right?
By the way, looking at that, that's like by a nostril. That's not even a nose.
Is that just the photo? I'm not quite sure. Dead heat. Wow, sorry, something flashed up on the screen. It was wrong.
Love it.
There we go.
That's great.
Well, we got a bird's eye view of the judge, and he was definitely giving it.
Crikey, look at that photo.
And he's right. It is. I mean, there's not even nostril. No, obviously, it's a dead heat. So clearly, that means they cannot be separated, and that it doesn't happen too often. But that was an absolute thrilling conclusion for Rafe Beckett, as Lizzie alluded to. Both sets of owners will be able to go in, and it's an easy one to get the debrief on. It looks as if in third, Bright Thunder may have got third, and I think we distinguished ourselves again, didn't we?
Yes, the tips.
What did you choose again?
He was on Romantic Style, wasn't he?
Romantic Style, and that was nowhere. Yeah. And where were you?
Well, I was maybe fifth, I think.
Okay.
Well, not exactly.
You get nothing for fifth.
This is like the racing equivalent of Eurovision, isn't it?
It is. Point. That's right. Point. Well, anyway, let's see how you do in race 3. Back to Rupert and Lizzie a little bit later on. Thank you, guys. You can watch every race live from the Qatar Goodwood Festival and Galway Festival only on Racing TV. You can start a free 31-day trial now by heading to racingtv.com/free trial. All Racing TV members also get access to over 100 free race days and a free share in their syndicate racehorse, The Lost Sock. Start your free trial now. Lots more racing to come. Plenty of football chat to come with myself and Perry Groves.
James Trafford says he always knew he'd return to Man City after his move back to the Etihad was confirmed. Burnley say it's a record figure for a British goalkeeper, claiming it's £31 million plus add-ons and a sell-on clause. Well, Trafford spent 2 years at Turf Moor, having signed from City for £19 million. Well, another English goalkeeper is also on the move. talkSPORT understands Aaron Ramsdale has agreed to join Newcastle. The Magpies will pay Southampton an initial £4 million loan fee, and there's an option to buy next summer. Well, despite Ramsdale getting relegated from the Premier League 3 times before turning 27, Alex Crook and Alan Brazil both reckon it's a smart acquisition.
The reaction from Newcastle fans is mixed, I think, on Aaron Ramsdale. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he's a brilliant character. I think once he gets in that team, he will build up a bond with the Newcastle fans, and they will grow to love him.
I'm with you.
I think this could be a really good signing.
Do you know who loves him? Ray Parlour loves him. He's a great guy and a great goalkeeper.
Yeah, he is.
I'm with you.
At Man United, they've honed in on Benjamin Sesko and Ollie Watkins as their 2 targets up front. Ben Jacobs has told talkSPORT why the Villa man is being considered by the top brass at Old Trafford.
Is consistent with Cunha and Mbeumo, players for the now. Again, the fee there is £60 million or 70 million euros if they just met the asking price today. But some Manchester United sources feel that if Villa find a replacement, their not for sale stance or their high price may drop.
Well, talkSPORT also understands another forward, Daniel Ndoye, has now completed his move from Bologna to Nottingham Forest. And if you thought the Test series between England and India was already a bit aggy, it's just gone to another level. This time, the row was between India's head coach Gautam Gambhir and the Oval's head groundsman Lee Fortis. This after Fortis asked the India squad to move away from the main square while practising. Gambhir's reply was, "You're just a groundsman, don't tell us what to do." Oh, you're odd. There's plenty more at talksport.com.
Gyökeres trying to get in behind, outpacing the young defender, right-footed shot into the corner, and Gyökeres has scored.
In for Gyökeres! 3 points to Coventry City. Gyökeres gets on the score sheet, created the first, scored the second.
Will he be the panacea? I don't know. His career's now in front of him with a really, really talented team.
Just like that, Max Dowman away from one, into the area, and surely does get the penalty.
I feel as if the Arsenal, that group of people will help him along.
I'm very happy with all the kids, so comfortable, so confident, just straight away you can go and do it.
Yep, Arsenal been getting some good business done. Not necessarily the glittery, sort of shiny, starry stuff, but some of the other business they've done as well. Perry's obviously delighted. You were just saying you're involved in the tours at the club. And there's a real buzz, especially around the Gyökeres signing.
Yeah, very much so. I don't think there's been that much excitement and an Arsenal signing for probably about, I'd say, 10 years, honestly. Okay. It's because every Arsenal fan has known that we've needed centre-forward. Obviously, haven't got a centre-forward. Then it was a drawn-out process, whether Gyökeres was going to sign or not. I was with Anders Limpar about 3 weeks ago in Bangor for the Arsenal Supporters Club, and he said, don't pay, because obviously Swedish, he knows him, knows of him, he's an Arsenal fan. He said, don't worry, he'll be coming to Arsenal. So I was quite calm about it all. And then you realise it was the agent who was asking for too much money. Yeah. And Gyökeres says, oh, by the way, you work for me. You're not telling me what I do and I don't do. So then he pulled his neck in. So, if you're playing for Arsenal up front and you've got anything about you as centre forward, you should be getting 20, 25 Premier League goals a season because of the chances that we can create. Yeah. And I was saying to you earlier, I hope sometimes we can be a bit paint by numbers. Now, maybe that was because we didn't have a natural centre forward because Mourinho was playing there, obviously dropping deeper. So in the wide areas, and that's why I think the Madueke has been bought, because I think he'll play more on the left-hand side. He's very good 1v1s, and he goes on the outside with his left foot, so it changes the angle of the opposition. Sort of back 4 or back 5. So, the business has been very, very good, and for what you'd say squad players like Kepa, obviously he's a massive upgrade on Neto. As, at the moment, the number 2, Norgard coming in as well.
I mean, you got both of those two for 15 million quid.
Andrea Berta, who is obviously the new sporting director, that is someone who knows their trade. Whereas in the January transfer window, we had Jason Ato there, who is not as experienced as Andrea Berta, and how to deal with different people.
Yeah. Maybe the contact's not there. Well, that's thoroughly depressed me, Perry. Understandably, as a Tottenham fan. But no, I think you're correct. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's two schools of thought. There's people saying, well, he scored goals in Portugal, he scored goals in the Championship. There are no guarantees. But I know you've been crunching the numbers. You've been watching a fair bit of him, and you've been impressed. You think he'll hit the ground running?
Well, the thing is, Dance and myself, Ian Danta, are on the same wavelength here. There's a snobbery about the Championship.
Oh, well, we see that in a lot of players.
Because
we saw it in Andy Robinson and Bowen and lots of players.
Jared Bowen, who started off obviously at Hereford and then to Hull and then West Ham, England. I think if you're a centre forward and you score goals in the Championship, and the Championship is more physical than what the Premier League is. Premier League is the most physical elite league in Europe and maybe around the world. But if you can handle yourself in the Championship, so basically he learnt his trade playing for Coventry up front and scored 20 plus goals in his second 2 seasons.
He'll be coming up against better defenders.
He will be, but then he's going to get better service and he's playing with better players.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be feeding on as many scraps as he was at Coventry City.
Yeah.
So he'll get better service. I think what will happen is you'll see Kai Havertz, obviously Yorkers will play up front. You've got the option of Kai Havertz, obviously playing as a centre forward as well. So what he needs to do, because of the big signing and because of all of the hype around him, then you need to score. You need to score in your first 2 games.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't scored after 3 games, I remember Alan Smith when he signed for us, he didn't score for 3 league games, and in the papers they're going, waste of money, can't handle it, now he's going to sign Kerry Dixon. And Smudge is like, hold on a minute, I've only played 3 games.
Yeah.
And you end up being top scorer at the end of the season. So there's going to be this pressure, and obviously then you're going to, that end of the scale where someone who's learnt their trade and he's 27 at peak times, and then you can talk about Max Dowman, who's obviously at the other end.
We are going to talk about Max Dowman. We just heard in that little section at the top, really, his name mentioned. He's only 15-year-old, but he's quite a buzz. There's been a buzz about him for a while, and Perry will come on to that. It's pre-season friendly with Spurs tomorrow in Hong Kong, and Mikel Arteta has been talking about him.
I'm very happy with all the kids. I think they are able to play at that level with 15 years old, in my opinion, because of the environment and the culture that is within the team. And when somebody makes you feel so comfortable, so confident, straight away you can go and do it. At least it gives you the best chance. Then you have to have the qualities that this kid have to actually deliver against an opposition like this.
When did you first hear about him?
The thing is, Mikel, apparently you don't win anything with kids. No, you don't. But I heard about him when he was coming up through, obviously at Hale End, and coming up through the different age groups, and he was 13 and playing in the under-16s. And what makes you think someone must be... Remember Norman Whiteside when he was a man boy, when he was 15, he was turning up playing on his motorbike with a big beard. So, but then I saw Max Dowman in the flesh live, and it was against Manchester United under-18s in the FA Youth Cup at the end of the season. So he's playing against players that are 3 years older than him, like the Fletcher twins, Tyler and Jack Fletcher, very good players. Darren Fletcher's boys. And after 10 minutes, and I was doing the co-commentary, he took my breath away. I'd never seen a player that good playing against players. It was like in, you get a ringer. When you used to play in youth team football, and you think you're under 11s and someone's ripping it up, and you think, I don't, mate, you're 14. It was over. It was incredible. And there was a clip that he got brought down for a penalty in that game, and he picked it up on the edge of his own box. And what he's got this natural balance. He's left-footed, so he looks very graceful. But he's got natural balance where he's got the owl's head where he's always on the turn. But he's got this technique that you can't really coach, where he stop, start. So when you're taking someone on and you think you've just gone away from him, then he'll stop, then he'll start, then he stop, then he start, and you end up scrambling your opposition's brain, if you're trying to tackle him. So, and we saw that in the Newcastle game where he got brought down for the penalty, where he first takes him inside Matt Target, and Joe Linton can't get anywhere near him, brings him down. So he is a scary talent. And I said before, as I said there, it'll be well nurtured at Arsenal because they've got a good reputation of bringing younger players through, from Bukayo Saka into Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly. So they're nurtured very well.
There's a school of thought that says get them out on loan, get them regular game time. But there are certain players that doesn't happen to. And you sense that he's unlikely to go out on loan.
No, he's too good at the moment for that. And the only reason he wasn't in the squad at the end of last season is because of the Premier League rules that obviously a 15-year-old you couldn't be training and playing. Well, he's training with them in team, but you couldn't be playing in the side. So and you have to nurture. And I go back to Jude Bellingham, obviously generational talent. We know how fantastic he's at Dortmund and Real Madrid. At Birmingham, he was handled brilliantly because they played him in the Championship where it is, muck and nettles and you get smashed everywhere. They played him sort of left wingish, so he could just stay out of the main maelstrom of where it's all going on, and he could learn his trade because they wanted him to develop physically before they played him more central. So I think that Max Dowman will end up playing in the wider areas. Right. But as his career progresses, and if he goes on that trajectory, he'll end up being like an inside left or a number 10.
I said, who would you compare him to? And just tell me what you said.
Well, on the style-wise, very similar to Lionel Messi, only because of left-footed, same sort of build, but balance and the way. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Messi, because Messi obviously one of the greatest players of all time.
And there are no guarantees at 15.
None at all. The only thing that I would say with Max Dowman is he's got a good background to him.
Yeah.
The only reason he won't make the level that he should do with his talent is if he's unlucky with an injury or injuries, or his attitude isn't right. Yeah. And for all the reports that I'm hearing about him, he's a very well balanced, level-headed young man off the pitch.
Right. Okay.
So as long as he stays like that, and he sees like Bukayo Saka, who's a brilliant example, he sees Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri, where you just calm down and you make sure you're humbled off it.
Yeah.
Then he's got honestly, the world's his lobster, as Del Boy would say.
Brilliant. Thank you, Perry. Well, we're going to keep talking football later on in the show. We're going to talk cricket next. A fourth test tomorrow at the Oval. As you were hearing from Fletch in the bulletin, no Ben Stokes, that shoulder injury, not up to it. John Norman's going to join us from the Oval very shortly to look ahead to that. We'll be back to the racing very shortly as well. We've still got 3 more races for you. We're here, as always, with Tool Station, delivering as little as 30 minutes with Fast Track. Next stop, Tool Station. Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Perry Groves here on talkSPORT. The fifth test at the Oval tomorrow between England and India. And no Ben Stokes, as we've been hearing. That little shoulder injury. He said after the game he thought it was very unlikely he would miss it, but he is going to miss it. John Norman is at the Oval for us, our cricket correspondent. Good afternoon, John.
Yeah, good afternoon to you guys. I'm not sure... Hey Perry, I'm not sure a little injury, because actually seeing Stokes in the press conference earlier today, and the decision was made for him to miss this test very late. Even yesterday I was talking to the main man, the media guy at the ECB about arranging an interview with Stokes we were looking at doing, and then fast forward to today, and it was actually quite an emotional Stokes. I've never seen him look quite as emotional as that, actually. Wow. It's taken a huge it's a huge setback, actually. He's going to miss 6 to 7 weeks, so after this test match there's not a lot of cricket. But of course the Ashes are coming. That's what everybody's very, very concerned about. But just the word of warning that he had from the medical professionals in and around the side was, look, you might be able to get through this test match and nothing would happen, but the risk reward just was not there. Yeah. He didn't actually explain how serious it could be, but certainly, you know, he has been given a huge warning here. He's been told, you really risk something quite serious happening, so he's made the decision not to play, and that is a big decision. He's bowled a lot. You think he's bowled too much at times, John? Well, only he and his body really knows the answer to that question. But, you know, we did marvel at the spells that he produced at Lord's to turn that test match around. You know, he bowled almost unchanged in the morning session, then he came back for another stint in the afternoon. And a lot has been spoken about those spells, you know, up there with Freddie Flintoff at this very ground. I was fortunate enough to be in the pavilion watching Freddie bowl unchanged through a session in the 2005 Ashes. And, of course, that's gone down in history to the point of still talking about it 20 years later. I think we'll still be talking about Ben Stokes in 20 years' time as well, and it was those kind of performances that really make him stand out. I think the question that you need to ask him, or he asks himself, is if he doesn't perform to 100% of his capabilities, you know, he feels like he's essentially cheating the team. And I suppose he feels that that's what's got him into the side. It's not just bowling those spells, but it's just producing, whether he's with the bat or the ball or in the field or captaining, he is producing to 100% of his capabilities. Whether that has a knock-on effect, and certainly it has done with his knee problems, we don't really know, but you can't tell me it would have helped the situation.
No, sure. Also, John, with Ben Stokes, he has the X factor, you know, even against the opposition, you know, when he gets the ball in his hands.
He makes things happen.
Exactly, yeah. So he's got that right. So it looks like Ollie Pope is going to be the captain. What sort of captain can we expect from Ollie Pope?
Well, first off, Stokes will still be here up on the pavilion, on the balcony. He'll be there to talk and advise during the breaks. I'm sure there'll be a message or two going out onto the field. But essentially, Ollie Pope, whilst he has experience of captaining this England side, he did so last summer for much of it when Ben Stokes pulled a hamstring playing in the 100. You know, so he has been there and done it. He's been the vice-captain for a long time. He's captained in the absence of Stokes. So the team are familiar and comfortable with Ollie Pope's style, and as I say, Stokes will be in the building. But it's just not having Ben Stokes to call upon. You know, this is the difference. He's not going to have the batter, the fielder, and of course the bowler who took a fifer in the last Test match. He's not going to have him to break a partnership. He's not going to have him to essentially, you know, bowl into the wind. He's not going to have Stokes to play the enforcer role. He's not going to have Stokes to bowl with a 62-mile-an-hour ball and still manage to bowl the fastest delivery in the match. He's not going to have that to call upon. And not only that, he's not going to have Jofra Archer in the side.
No.
What a difference he's made over the last couple of Test matches. Just having him, especially when you consider how brilliant he is against left-handers, and India have a lot of left-handers, as do Australia, by the way. He's not going to have Jofra Archer. Instead, yes, Gus Atkinson, we know what he has done in the last 12 months since being introduced to Test cricket. Yes, Josh Tongue gave the batters a real hurry-up when he played earlier in the summer. And yes, Chris Woakes is still as effective with the new ball as possibly he has been in the last 4 or 5 years. So there is experience, there is quality, but essentially there's no Stokes.
Yeah. Nearly out of time, John, but just a quick one on the prickliness has now extended from the field of play to the groundsman at the Oval, and Gautam Gambhir, the India coach who kicked off yesterday. Has been any more talk about that today, or has that been all forgotten?
It's been forgotten and put to one side from, Surrey. I can see that Lee right now actually is still standing there. He's actually chatting with the bowling coach of India now, Morny Morkel. Look, it happened. Yeah. He won't be the first groundsman to, essentially go and tell either home or away captains or fielders or batters out on the training on the grass to stay clear of the strip. That is just how groundsmen go about their business. Yeah. Gautam Gambhir, he's not one to shy away from a scrap himself. So it happened. It certainly created a few column inches. That's what people wanted. But for me, it's just indicative of this series as a whole. Because if India had folded at Old Trafford, if we were coming into this Test match with England 3-1 up, there wouldn't be anywhere near the amount of interest. Yeah. But the fact that India can still get 2-2 and with that retain the trophy, the fact that India is still fighting away, just has added even more drama to what has been a truly compelling series.
Absolutely. John, we'll hear from you tomorrow. Thanks very much.
Yeah, look forward to it, guys. Take it easy.
John Norman there. John, if you're overseas, you'll be able to watch and listen to John and our team bring you ball-by-ball commentary of that fifth and final test at the Oval. We'll keep you updated here on talkSPORT. Sam Ellard will be there for us, and all the wicket flashes, all the news, teams and the toss at 10:30 tomorrow. But as we said, if you're overseas, you can watch John and our excellent team bring you that from tomorrow.
Just a technicality on the terminology that John used there. Yeah. They're not ground staff anymore.
Okay,
they're
well,
artistes.
Artistes?
They're artistes.
Oh, well, I never knew that.
Artistes of the soil.
Fantastic. We're going racing next with Rupert and Lizzie, our next race of the afternoon at glorious Goodwood. Time to head back to glorious Goodwood for a third live race of the afternoon with Rupert Bell and Lizzie Kelly. And once again, the tipsters competition is 0-0 at the moment. It's a tight affair, Team Rupert versus Team Lizzie. Lizzie, what do we fancy for this 2:30?
I think I'm going for Sands of Spain.
Okay.
Two decent victories before running a blinder in the super sprint, finished third on that occasion. That's a really, really competitive race, the super sprint at Newbury. And I think, it's actually probably a little bit more competitive than what we've got here today. She was only beaten a length and a half. She was giving weight away on that occasion. And I think she's got a nice chance. I'm just trying to wait to see what price she is, but she's not. She's 15-2, so she has actually been shortening up today.
What about you, Rupert?
I'm going for Dickensian. Was a good second last time, and I think around about 9-1. The favourite is Ryan Moore, who's bidding for his third winner of the day. Of course, he was involved in that dead heat last race, and he's on Lady Iman, another Irish-trained runner that he's running for Girl Lions. But they're nearly all in for this Moulcombe Stakes that was first run in 1829.
Wow.
So it's a historic race for 2-year-olds, 5 furlongs a trip, so it's downhill all the way more or less, and they're all set for these 8 runners, and Rogue Supremacy ducks to his right and barges into Lady Iman, but coming down the middle of the course, out in front is Dickensian, and they're freewheeling pretty quick down the hill. Dickensian leads, also right there is our Meek. Lady Iman's just tracking the leading 4 riders, and there's 2 on their own at the moment, and that's Military Code and Sands of Spain, who are looking to come up the stands rail. But out in front it is Dickensian with 2.5 furlongs to go. Still has it from Argentine Tango, then a little gap back to Amik. On this near side we've got Military Code, and also starting to get a good run through is Lady Iman, and Brian Moore is poised to strike here, and he's just pushing her out. Lady Iman looks to maybe the one, but Dickensian's putting this horse in a battle, and on the far side Raoul de Frost is running a big race, but Lady Iman has first call with a furlong to go. Lady Iman, Dickensian, and now still flying is Argentine Tango, but Lady Iman has made it 3 out of 3 for Ryan Moore. He was quiet yesterday, but today he's got everything going his way, and Lady Iman got a good split again, and she always looked to be travelling best in this race.
Yeah, she did actually. She always looked in control. The 2 on this side, Sands of Spain, the Military Code, neither of them got a nice run there. Argentine Tango's run a really nice race for Tim Easterby, but yeah, Lady Iman, she always looked in control. You could see when the cutaway came that Ryan Moore had loads of room to move into, and she did it pretty straightforwardly.
11-8 favourite she's returned at, and Ryan Moore is going to try and stop Field of Gold winning, because he's on board Henri Matisse in our big race, but as I say, he rode that horse with supreme confidence coming over. I think I may have got third there, so I may be getting a point.
Wow, what about that? We're off the mark. Team Rupert.
I think.
Okay.
I'm waiting for confirmation, but it's a stunning start by both Lizzie and I. We're really grabbing this today, aren't we? And then we've got a problem, because neither of us probably can see Field of Gold being beaten. So what do we do about that, people?
The race doesn't count.
That could be a dead heat. That could be a dead. We'll allow you that one. Well, it looks like 1-0, Lizzie. You're going to have to pull your finger out. You can't lose to Rupert. You cannot lose in a tipster competition to Rupert, Lizzie, for goodness sake.
Well, to be fair, I won yesterday, so over the course of how many days are we doing?
We're here 4.
It's 4 days.
She's already fed up with me, I can assure you.
So Lizzie, you're free to
go home.
Lizzie's still 3-1. Is that what you're saying? Was it 3-1 yesterday?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So she is still winning on aggregate, but that's not the way we're playing the game. So good stuff. Well, thank you guys. We'll await confirmation of your solo point, Rupert, and we'll be back to you both later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There we are, Rupert and Lizzie there. We asked you about showboating earlier on. There was a story from the world of snooker that we brought you earlier on, which involved a bit of showboating. Let me just remind you of what it was. I'll come back to it in a second. You've been telling us about showboating, not necessarily on the field of play, which is this was Kyron Wilson who decided to do a no-look shot on the black. He would have broken a record, 6th century breaks, but it didn't quite happen. And he went for a no-look shot and didn't get the century, didn't put the black in. So we're asking about showboating on and off the field. I used to work in a high street broker, and we sat on high stalls behind a high counter. A regular customer came in that I really fancied, and she was being served by a new starter. He asked me to help out, and rather than just getting off my stall, I tried to show off, spun round and jumped off. Sadly, straight into the waste paper bin, flew forward and face planted into the carpet. And the bin flew in the air and emptied on top of me. I hope somebody shouted, "Mousetrap!" Still not over it 25 years later, and haven't put their name on Loza. He prepared to put his name to that. Fantastic.
This is the reaction when it happens, isn't it?
Yes.
Just to get up as if nothing's happened whatsoever. Oh, hello, how can I help you?
Matt's on the M6. When I was an apprentice electrician, the guy I was working with had just reassured a customer that having worked in many a loft over 20 years, he was still yet to fall through a ceiling. Seconds later, jumped through the hatch, span like a ballet dancer, slipped, splayed either side of the joist. Says Matt, sometimes a little bit of showboating. That's the problem. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. Derek in Renfrewshire said, I tried a Slim Jim Baxter. That 1967, tried to emulate him in the next game for the team I played for. Failed miserably, resulted in the winning goal for the opposition. Manager went bananas once he found out I'd been hiding in the dressing room. So there we are. Keep those coming. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. Have we got to talk a bit of Manchester United now? Very interesting times for them. Ben Jacobs, talkSPORT's transfer reporter, was on with Jamie O'Hara and Jermaine Pennant on the Sports Bar last night, and he spoke about Manchester United's potential striker options in the window.
Yeah, I think it's just those two at the moment. Nicholas Jackson was probably the somebody else, but the feeling is it's too expensive. So unless late in the window something changes with Jackson, or maybe if Chelsea pursue Alejandro Garnacho, there could be a scenario where that's revisited. But the door's shut on Jackson for now. Manchester United exploring two deals. Christopher Vivell is driving Benjamin Sesko, but the valuation there from Manchester United's perspective is 70 million, and Leipzig value the player at over 80 million euros. Newcastle also pushing, and Man United have to find budget from outgoings. So Newcastle have got a slight advantage in that one at the moment. But if Manchester United can get the player to wait and pick Manchester United, that one, even if it takes a bit more time, could be one possibility. And then you've got the proven Premier League experience of Ollie Watkins, which I'm told is a deal that's been put forwards by Ruben Amorim and is consistent with Cunha and Mbeumo, players for the now. Again, the fee there is £60 million or 70 million euros if they just met the asking price today. But some Manchester United sources feel that if Villa find a replacement, their not for sale stance or their high price may drop, and later in the window that one might be possible. So right now there's two leading targets, Watkins and Sesko, and a healthy debate within the football club as to which one should be pursued as the leading choice in the coming days.
It was Ben Jacobs last night. You can understand why Amorim wants the player for now, because he's under pressure. He has got to make a good start to this season, or he could be out.
Exactly.
So you could take a chance on Sesko. He could be fantastic. But, you know, he's oven ready, Ollie Watkins, isn't he? So that is a big thing.
And also, he's got that relationship that you had at Brentford with Brian and Wermo.
Yeah, who's been talking about him, of course, saying what a brilliant player. And obviously, they're very good at working together.
Yeah, it was the BMW, wasn't it? Like the three up front. And Wermo said about Watkins he's got everything, basically. He can run in behind, he can hold it up, he scores goals. And as you said, from Amorim's point of view, he isn't at the point where you can have potential.
No.
He can't afford to be having to sort of put like someone like Sesko in, hoping that he can handle the Premier League and the pace and the power of it, and obviously change different cultures, different languages. Yeah. So, no wonder he's pushing for Ollie Watkins. But the thing with Man United is, it makes me, from the outside looking in, is they're going for obviously number 10s and centre forwards. They need a goalkeeper and they need two centre halves, because I don't think their centre halves are good enough.
They're looking at Nick Pope, aren't they? There's a few stories today suggesting that with Ramsdale going to Newcastle, Nick Pope could be a target for Manchester United.
The thing with Nick Pope is that he's sort of the end of the goalkeepers that didn't have to be brilliant with their feet, and play out from the back. That's why Onana was bought, and obviously Onana struggled even playing from the back, but he struggled with the physicality of the Premier League, and he makes a mistake every 2 or 3 games where he costs you a goal. So Onana's not good enough for the Premier League. So I think Nick Pope would be an upgrade, but when you're playing out from the back, he's not pretty. Sometimes you look like Herman Munster with divers boots on. Do you know what I mean? So remember Fraser Forster at the end for Spurs, when you knew full well that his head has gone, he couldn't move his feet.
Yeah.
Sometimes Nick Pope struggles with his foot movement, but then obviously you're looking at the centre-half position as well. So they need 2 centre-halves. In the centre of midfield, they need legs, because we know that Amorim's equivalent of Mike Bassett. We play 3-4-2, whatever one. And that is it. So Agati and Main, I've been playing in there. Obviously, you got Mason Mount that can go and play in there as well with legs. And then the other conundrum is Cunha and Mbeumo and Fernandes. Because Fernandes wants to play as a 10. There's no way that he can play as that 2 in the midfield because you need legs and he doesn't want to do defending. So there's other problems that Amorim's got to sort out, apart from just sticking to that one formation.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. There's some talk about Donnarumma as well. He's been linked with a few clubs. At PSG could be looking to make a change, and they're saying City potentially if they're making a change, Chelsea. Or Manchester United. I mean that would be quite a coup for somebody, wouldn't it? I mean, what do you make of him? He's gone off the boil a bit, or you still think he's
Donnarumma? Yeah. We saw in the Champions League against Liverpool and against us that he is an outstanding goalkeeper, and I think he's put that to bed of like he's got one in him all the time. Yeah, because as he's getting a little bit older, I think he's just showing a bit of leg. I think that he's just teasing because he's got 1 year left on his contract. Yeah. In the end, he'll have to sign at PSG. He's not going to Manchester United because Man United aren't in the Champions League. No, of course. So there's no way that he's going to go there. Chelsea need a top quality goalkeeper as well. So you could see that happening, but can they afford his wages for what he's looking for? Because I think he wants to be upwards of £350,000 a week. So there's not many clubs around Europe that can afford that sort of money. No, that is absolutely true. As we said, it's so imperative that he and they make a good start to the season, because we have this thing, don't we? We have the race to be gone by Christmas, and how often at the moment are you listening and reading people say, well, I think he'll be gone by Christmas, and I wonder if his lead is he. He's probably up there, isn't he? He's in the shake-up. I think that can change to Halloween. I think you just keep bringing it more forward because, as you said, he's going to be under massive pressure because he's always said, "This isn't my team," and he's made all. Amorim talks too much for my liking when he says, "Oh, these group of players aren't good enough to play Manchester United." You think, well, no, you've got to use them for that interim period, and even if you don't think they're good enough, you've got to use them and make them think they've got a future, even though they haven't. Because you know what, players like Paul, as soon as you hear that, you go, really? Yeah. I'm going to be along with what you are. Yeah. So he's got to change the toxic culture, which has been seeping in there probably like the last, 9-10 seasons. So he's trying to do that. But, I think at Manchester United, I think Amorim might be out of his depth. Interesting. Who else do you think could be under pressure, Premier League manager-wise? Are there other names that come up? How long will... I mean, it often depends on the club, doesn't it, really, and how patient they are as a club to give a manager a chance, and the expectations. Well, expectations at your mob, they're going to be really high. And I feel a bit for Thomas Frank because he deserves his chance to manage at, the high level, which he's doing with Spurs. But then getting players to come to Spurs... better than me, is very, very difficult because Spurs have to buy potential, basically. They can very rarely buy ready-made players because of the wages. Because if there's a choice, the wage limit at Spurs is probably about 120 grand a week. And all the top players are on upwards of 200. Well, I mean, we saw that with Mbeumo, didn't we? As much as he may have liked to play for Thomas Frank again, Tottenham weren't going to get anywhere close to 250 grand a week. Yeah, and you've got, obviously, the enticement, playing in Champions League, which is, like a massive sort of pull. But if you look through at the Premier League, Eddie Howe's safe because of what he's got. He's got a lot of money in the bank, as it were, even though they can't spend it. No, exactly. But he's got a fair bit of credit. I think the fans are on his side, and they can see that a lot of what's going on at the moment is not down to him. They've been coming on and saying that, Newcastle fans, they're not happy with the ownership structure and some of the other stuff that's been going on. Yeah, I think Keith Andrews as well at Brentford. Obviously, he's been there as the set piece coach, and again a young manager, and who wants a chance. Yeah. But sometimes it's wrong place. Is it right place, wrong time? Yeah. Because you look at what's happened with Brentford losing, like a brilliant manager, Thomas Frank, losing Mbeumo. Looks like Visser might go, losing Norgard. Yeah. A team like Brentford could very rarely afford to lose 3 of your. If you lose one, like you lost Ivan Toney, okay, Visser comes in and when Mbeumo, take up the mantle. Yeah. It's difficult at that level to replace 3 of your best players. Absolutely. Very difficult. We're asking about showboating. I was at a friend's house for a party, says Tim, the host, a little bit tipsy, decided to go on his kid's trampoline. Oh.
You know,
We know where it's
this is
going.
like an episode of 999's of Casualty. He started showing off, did a backflip, and his legs went between the springs. Not only did he crush an area, whatever you mean by that, he also had a massive gouge on his calf. I think what will hurt more? Now, I think that's showboating. Yes, I think that is.
Probably pride would hurt more than anything else.
I did see a story the other day. A primary school head teacher's got in a little bit of trouble for this. Allowed only pupils with 100% attendance for the year to go on the bouncy castle. I mean, I do like the bouncy castle reward system as a concept. It would be nice. You did a good show today, Perry. The gaffer's waiting for you outside. He shakes your hands. You were brilliant today. Go and have a go on the company bouncy castle.
Yeah, but I think if it's
we're all
adults,
down there, all the high flyers, literally.
Yeah, but I think with the adults, it should be you can have 5 pints of Stella and then go on the bouncy castle.
No,
because you know the entertainment level's going to rise.
That doesn't sound like a good idea. talksport.com/H&J. You can text to 81089. You can tweet to TSH&J. Back to the live race, and we've still got a couple more races for you today. We'll also be discussing, and we'll probably will be discussing as well. Going back to your old club, we'll talk about Jack Grealish. Tim Vickery's going to pop in, our South American correspondent. He's over here. And lots more besides. We're here as always with Tool Station, delivering as little as 30 minutes with Fast Track. Next stop, Tool Station, and we're going to be talking about a new play which features a couple of old firm favourites, and indeed our football correspondent David Tanner will be joining us to tell us more shortly.
$10K for Coldplay.
Now, competition to win 10 grand, a huge VIP night out at Wembley for Coldplay ends on Monday. That's right, we're giving you the chance to win 6 tickets in a private box for you and your mates on August the 22nd with full hospitality. Hope they play this one. Plus, we're chucking in, I don't think they will, plus we're chucking in that 10 grand spending money completely tax-free. Here's how to enter. For a chance to win, text the word WIN to 83338 by the 4th of August at 11 p.m. You're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus a one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Coldplay Competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP. To arrive by 5 p.m. on the 7th of August. 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Now, we're going to tell you about a play, and it features a couple of old firm favourites, and not just a couple of old firm favourites. The man we often turn to on this show and other shows on talkSPORT in the world of Scottish football, which returns, of course, this weekend, David Tanner. I had heard about the play before, but it's on a little run, I take it, in Edinburgh. Let's find out. Good afternoon, David.
Hello, lovies. Hi, David.
Yeah,
where's your cravat? Where's your cravat and your little handkerchief? I get that after we have a run at the Fringe.
Beautiful.
So look out for that soon.
Yeah, I'd heard about this play before. It's a really good idea. So tell us a bit about it.
Well, the play is called Billy and Tim and examines the tribal rivalries of Glasgow's big two football clubs. By tribal rivalries, of course, I mean religious sectarianism. It does it through the eyes of a Rangers fan, Billy, and a Celtic fan, Tim, who are locked up in the same cell on the day of an Old Firm game. And they, of course, would rather be at the game. In fact, they were trying to go to the game when they were locked up on that particular day. And they go through something of a voyage of discovery about each other and about themselves. And they listen to the game throughout the day. My job and my colleague Rob McLean are there to provide the commentary, just as I did for this particular game on talkSPORT. We've got Charlie Miller, ex-Rangers, Simon Donnelly, ex-Celtic, providing the analysis, and it sounds like a proper radio analysis of the game, and it adds to the atmosphere, and the two main characters are listening to what we say as they go through their journey. So it's a slightly bizarre episode in my career, I have to tell you, but the early run out we had at the Pavilion Theatre in Glasgow and another at the Gaiety Theatre there went down really well with the audience, who cheered when we announced a goal as if it had actually been scored at Ibrox or Celtic Park. So it's been a great experience for us, and now we're taking it to the Edinburgh Fringe, darling.
Fantastic.
Dave, you said there you got Charlie Miller and Simon Donnelly playing obviously themselves, but they thought they were just going to play themselves and have a chat. They didn't realise they actually had a script, and they said that they were bricking it. Yeah, I know they're used to playing in front of 50 or 60,000 in these games, but being out there where there's no hiding place in a different environment where it's all about the words, it's second nature for me and for Rob McLean and the actors Scott Kyle, Simon Weir and Colin Little. But for the players, it was a bit of an experience for them. But they've taken to it terrifically well, and they're appearing about half a dozen or so times in the plays it runs at the Fringe with this live commentary element, and it's been, as I say, for the characters a voyage of discovery, but for the footballers and the broadcasters as well.
Excellent.
They had a really interesting nickname, didn't they? The cast had a nickname for the two players who were playing themselves. Yeah, I think it was, what was it? It was Jigsaw, wasn't it? Because he went to pieces in the commentary box. And Biscuit as well, I think, because they thought that was going to crumble.
Biscuit, oh dear. It's on the Edinburgh International Conference Centre until the 24th of August with Old Firm legends on the 1st, 2nd, 8th, 9th and 15th. You can get tickets from scottkyle.co.uk or the Edinburgh Fringe website to go and see the play. Sounds really good, David. We should talk a bit of Rangers. They're in action tonight. 2-0 up from the first leg against Panathinaikos, which was a good performance. Probably all about the first goal tonight. For Panathinaikos in that atmosphere, get an early one. Rangers in for a tough old night.
Yeah, it will be a tough night. Temperatures will be about 40 degrees. I was there in Athens when Rangers played Panathinaikos just over 20 years ago in the Champions League. They got a draw that night, but they were a very small, almost like a British Juniors stadium. But tonight they're in the big Olympic Stadium, which I think will benefit Rangers. They got a good draw against Olympiacos in Greece in last season, and I think that will do them the power of good. It will take a little bit of the intensity from the game away. It will be hot. If they get the first goal, Rangers, I think it's game over in the tie. However, it's worth remembering that Jack Butland was the man of the match at Ibrox. He had a string of terrific saves, and it was only after Panathinaikos went down to 10 men that Rangers really took control of the game. So huge night for them, with effectively £70 million at stake. If they get that would be the prize if they got into the Champions League proper, and they really need to do that to keep in touch with Celtic.
How have the Rangers fans taken to Russell Martin? Because obviously I was one of his critics here. He's got a certain style of play that we all know he wants to play out from the back all the time, so that could suit him obviously in that heat if they want to keep the ball. And what odds would you get on him getting sent off at half-time? Because he got sent off in a pre-season friendly, didn't he, at half-time?
He did. Yeah, a pre-season friendly against Middlesbrough, he got sent off. I mean, how is it possible? If that's what he's like in a friendly, I think he'd better learn to rein it in when it comes to the Old Firm game, let alone a Champions League qualifier in the heat of Athens tonight. That was a strange one for me. Listen, he's getting used to the job. I said here on this programme when he got the job that the Rangers supporters were underwhelmed by it, because they've been hoping for the likes of Steven Gerrard to come back. There'd been talk of Jose Mourinho, and other big names had been in the mix. However, he's a pragmatic choice, and if he's learned from the mistakes he made in the Premier League with Southampton, then he'll have done well. We all know what those mistakes were, and he'll really need to learn in this Rangers job, because there's one thing that matters at Rangers, and that is winning. It doesn't matter about the style, just win the game, and he needs to do that tonight, or at least avoid defeat tonight. And if he does, they'll be 1 foot closer, one step closer to the riches of the Champions League proper.
Excellent. Well, break a leg in Edinburgh, and who knows, you may end up in the reboot of Take the High Road, David, if you put in a good performance. That would be marvellous.
That would be lovely. I'm just delighted I managed to pass the audition to play myself. Rumour has it that Jimmy Cranky knocked it back, but I reckon I can cut the ice.
Okay, enjoy. All the best, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Cheers, David. David Tanner there, our Scotland correspondent, treading the boards at the Edinburgh Festival.
Well, apparently it's definitely going to be at the Glasgow Pavilion on October the 24th and 25th. And they're talking about taking it in 2027 to the Sydney Opera House.
Well, what about that?
So you think there might be a couple of them like, I'm all right. I can make that one.
They'll be up for that one. Yeah. Fantastic. More live racing to come very shortly for you. We'll be discussing going back to your old club, the best move for Jack Grealish if he wants to play in the World Cup next year, and all manner of other stuff besides. More of your show, but getting some great showboating stories still coming in on and off the field, so do keep those coming. talksport.com/H&J, text to 81089 or tweet to TSH&J.
The Lions. Real-life fantasy rugby. Bitter rivalries set aside in a quest to create the world's best team in weeks. There's nothing like it, but who on earth had the idea and how did it all begin? Incredibly, the first Lions tour was organised and funded by three men who played in England's first ever Test cricket match. Opening bowler Alfred Shaw, opening batsman Arthur Shrewsbury and captain James Lillywhite. The 1888 Lions squad then, made up of 17 English, 4 Scots and 1 Welshman and a Northern Irishman, took a 46-day boat trip to New Zealand before heading to Australia. The Lions weren't alone on the boat. Also on board were 300 stoats and weasels who were brought over to eliminate New Zealand's rabbit problem. The first ever Lions captain, Robert Seddon, died of drowning midway through the tour while sculling on a river. Andrew Stoddart, who was another of the cricketers there, took over and was the star of the tour. The next one was the first to get official recognition from the RFU against the newly formed Springboks. Although the Lions won the series and beat the Boks again 5 years later, in the 12 series since in South Africa, they've only won 2. New Zealand has proved an even tougher hunting ground, just the 1 series win for the Lions in 11 attempts, which came in 1971. And then there was that nail-shredding drawn series in 2017, only the second in Lions history. Only once have the Lions clinched a series after losing the first test, 1989, when David Campese's infamous ghost pass was pounced upon by Ian Evans. Before World War II, the Lions had a dark blue strip, which on the 1930 tour forced the All Blacks to play in all white. So in
Good afternoon, it is Paul Hawksbee and Perry Groves here on talkSPORT. We're talking Jack Grealish in this hour, all manner of other stuff as well. Going back to your old club, having to move a lot as a professional footballer. Perry's got some war stories for us. You're talking about showboating. John, working at Deb's Ironing Shop in Wakefield, says, years ago when I worked at Wickes, a large car park outside, the lad who drove the forklift got a new car. Came flying into the car park, trying to do a handbrake skid into his parking spot. Didn't quite work and went straight through a wall. He was so embarrassed he just drove off with the bonnet crumpled and no bumper. So there we are. The perils of showboating we're looking for.
The old Dukes of Hazzard, would it?
Indeed. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. Tweet to TSH&J. I doubt showboating as a jockey is... Although it happens, doesn't it? You get jockeys who kind of slow up because they think they've won the race.
I think Franco Dettori used to have a bit, didn't he?
I'm sure Lizzie Kelly never did that. Let's head back to glorious Goodwood for Rupert and Lizzie. Lizzie never did one of those. Did you thinking you were home and hosed and then got pipped at the line?
No, that would keep me up at night. Like, my palms would be sweaty just thinking about doing something as stupid as that.
What about a Franco Dettori dismount?
No, I'm definitely not in that camp either. There was a jockey.
Certainly
who
not at
did
the
it.
moment, I wouldn't think.
No, there was a jockey who gave it a go and he actually broke his ankle when he landed.
Oh, well, that is that's what showboating.
Yeah, so there we are.
That's perfect. Yeah.
If you did it and you were riding for your mother, I imagine you would have got an absolute right.
Yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even know how.
Would you just put your hand up and give it the big, as you're...
What are you on about? What, jumping off the horse like Franco Dettori did?
Well, going into the half a furlong, you know you've won the race, and you might as well give it large.
Waving.
Would you not do that?
But obviously you can celebrate, but that's different to doing what Franco Dettori did.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Anyway, Rupert's I agree. I don't think that I would really bother with all of that.
No, good. That's very sensible, Lizzie. So let's have your choice for this next race, the 5 past 3.
Well, it's not original, I'm afraid. It is Field of Gold. Right. I think Field of Gold should be able to win this. 3-year-olds have got a really decent record in this race, so I'm not too worried about the fact that he's taking on older horses like Docklands and Rosalian. Henri Matisse he's already beaten previously, so I think Field of Gold showed plenty when he won the St James's Palace at Royal Ascot. He showed that he, could be a horse of a generation, and it's a really exciting day today. Let's hope that he follows in the footsteps of his sire, Kingman.
Rupert, I mean, you're 1-0 up currently. We can confirm you're 1-0 up, can't we? In the tipsters competition.
I think I just want to see Field of Gold confirm that he is an equine star in the making. When Frankel was around, there was such a buzz about his performances, and Field of Gold has an element of that about him in what he's done so far, particularly since the English 2000 Guineas. So hopefully today he will confirm that he is a generational talent. But these older horses are tough, and they won't make it easy for him. Rosalian and Docklands, they had an epic battle at Royal Ascot recently that Docklands came out on top. But this could be a fascinating renewal, because they're set now for the Visit Qatar Sussex Stakes, the big one of the week, with Field of Gold out to enhance his reputation. There are two pacemakers in this race, Kirat and also Serengeti, representing not only the judgment colours of Field of Gold, but obviously Aidan O'Brien. But actually Serengeti not doing his part of the job because he's last, but now the jockey's getting to work to actually try and move him up to the front of the field. So the way they settle down through the first early part of the race, it's Kirat who is the pacemaker for Field of Gold, and Serengeti. So the two outsiders are the ones dictating it to make sure it's a fair gallop. Henri Matisse, who was well beaten by Field of Gold last time they met. Then it's Rosalian, then it's Field of Gold. Docklands towards the rear, and Carl Spackler, the Australian raider, is at the back. So those two pacemakers have gone 4 or 5 lengths clear of Henri Matisse, and then it's Rosalian. Field of Gold with William Buick is on the outside as they're starting to make the turn, and freewheeling Serengeti has actually stolen a lot of ground here, and the others have got to make up now as they come into the straight with 3 furlongs to go. Serengeti, then Kirat, then it's Rosalian and Henri Matisse, and William Buick is biding his time on Field of Gold, sitting in about 5th place. When's he going to press to try and get to the pacemakers with 2 furlongs to go? He's got to do something now because Serengeti's not coming back. Now he goes to work on Field of Gold. Now he's going to ask, can he find something? Rosalian is tough. Docklands looks beaten. Carl Spackler. Field of Gold coming up on the outside. Still got ground to make. Rosalian is still holding him, and Field of Gold's bubble may have burst, and Henri Matisse on the far side is flying. Rosalian, but it's Kirat, the outsider, who's going to steal it. Rosalian gets there. That is a shocker. That is as unexpected as it gets. Field of Gold found absolutely nothing. That bubble was burst, but Kirat, the rank outsider, I think 100 to 1, has held off Rosalian, Henri Matisse, but Field of Gold never travelled. That was really surprising. I think it's 150 to 1 they're saying is the starting price. Wow, that was not part of the script. Field of Gold, well, his reputation is tarnished. Lizzie.
I'm not really sure what to make of that at all, Rupert. I think Kirat, he likes it at Goodwood. He is 2 out of 2 at Goodwood, but I didn't think he liked it that much. Oh dear, 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 what a disaster. Richard Kingscote looks as if he doesn't know whether to celebrate or commiserate, because that's not gone to plan. He looks quite shocked. Rosalian ran an absolute blinder. He went too quick. It was
well, so Field of Gold,
not good.
He asked to press the button in the straight, and there was nothing, and that was the surprise there. But Kirat went out in front. Serengeti was doing his job as the pacemaker, and I'm sure Richard Kingscote was probably thinking, come on, where are you?
He'll be here in a minute. He'll be here in a minute. He'll be here in a minute. And he never was. Henri Matisse has run a nice enough race. Rosalian has run a nice enough race. But yeah, Field of Gold was certainly, you certainly didn't feel like he ran his race. The others feel like they've been tactically outmaneuvered, but Field of Gold certainly didn't show what we saw at Royal Ascot. Crikey, what a disaster.
Absolute. Well, Racing is not predictable. Kirat, 150 to 1 winner. Rosalian has run his heart out, but is second again. But sometimes you just have to go, what the heck happened there?
The thing is, when you two actually flagged up Field of Gold, all the bookies on the course had a massive sigh of relief. They thought, that's right, that's handy. Hey, if you two bet on the Harlem Globetrotters, they'd probably get beat.
Perry, no, this is not fair. But you like your racing. Come on, what went wrong? I mean, but there's everyone. Kirat is getting an applause here out of sort of disbelief, and Richard Kingscote, I think he's off to Hong Kong to go riding soon, I believe. The Derby winning jockey of a couple of years back, but he's probably thinking that is the, I don't say flukiest, most unexpected Group 1 success that you'll ever have, and for Rafe Beckett, I'm sure he's thinking exactly the same. But dearie me, that has left us all scratching our heads. Lizzie and I don't know what to make of it.
What are the consequences of that, Lizzie, from a sort of racing point of view? Is this all the sort of the future path of Field of Gold has all been plotted? So is this just a one-off, or is that a bit of a spanner in the works?
No, that's a disaster for his connections, which, funnily enough, are the same owners as the winner.
Right.
But this horse obviously is very blue-blooded. The Field of Gold, being Kingman is his stallion, and he's obviously had an amazing stallion career, and that was what Field of Gold should have been going on to do. Really, you would have liked to have thought 3-year-old. The Guineas obviously didn't work out, but he's improved a huge amount since then. He didn't, you couldn't have blotted his copybook, really. He could have potentially stayed in training as a 4-year-old and then gone off to stud. That has put a huge spanner in the works in terms of his knock-on career as a stallion, because he's just decreased his value by goodness knows how much.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, I mean
that's what I mean when I say that's a disaster. It's not a disaster for any other reason than the horse's reputation and what it means for him going forward.
Wow, what a story. Okay, guys, thank you. Back to you later on. Field of Gold then beaten the big shock 150 to 1 winner. Perry, you weren't on that, nor was I. So
I had Henri Matisse because I thought he painted a lovely picture.
Well, I think you would have got a bit of each way.
To be fair, on that Field of Gold, it just looked like that there was nothing in the tank.
Strange.
The jockey felt that the rest of the pack wasn't come back to him, and it didn't. It didn't happen.
It was very strange, wasn't it? So Tim Vickery's joined us in a moment. South American football. He's popping in the studios over in the UK for a couple of weeks. Just very quickly, our own Ben Jacobs, one of our transfer team here, reporting that Arsenal have gone back in for Eberechi Eze, and talks are ongoing. Just very quickly, what do you make of that? It's very exciting news.
We've all got to calm down. We've all got to do a bit of yoga, go and have an ice bath, because obviously Yorkres was brilliant news. Yeah. That would be the icing on the cherry on the icing on the cake for Eze, because he can play left side, and I think there's 2 or 3 levels he's got to go up. Yeah. And I think the release clause is 65 million. So all it's going to be is, I think Palace want 35 million up front. That's now right. He can play the add-ons. I thought it might have been Eze, just wait a little bit, because Arsenal got to get players out before they get some more in. But if they're releasing this now, then that bodes really well for Arsenal fans. If
we're going to discuss one of the players that's probably on the way out, Gabriel Jesus. He was linked to Tottenham yesterday in a fairly bizarre story. So we'll be chatting to Tim Vickery about that in a few moments' time. Just to remind you, you can watch every race live from the Qatar Goodwood Festival and Galway Festival, only on Racing TV. You can start a free 31-day trial now by heading to racingtv.com/free trial. All Racing TV members also get access to over 100 free race days and a free share in their syndicate racehorse, The Lost Sock. Start your free trial now. Tim Vickery up next. We're here with Tool Station, delivery in as little as 30 minutes with Fast Track. Next stop, Tool Station. Joining us now in the flesh on a flying visit to the UK is our South American correspondent, Tim Vickery. Good to see you again, Tim.
Yeah, lovely to be here and lovely to meet in person.
Yeah. A man you've abused from the terraces at White Hart Lane.
I have, yeah. Although, as we're just discussing, there's no room for hate. One of my favourite stories, it's Hunter Davies, you know, the old journo, and he's in the ground and everyone's doing a stand-up. If you hate Arsenal, stand up. Yeah. And he's not standing up. Yeah. And he sees this old guy near him not standing up. Yeah. So they catch each other's eye. Yeah. And Hunter Davies says to the old guy, "I'm too old to hate." Yeah. And the other guy turns back to him and says, "I'm too old to stand."
So anyway, you've accepted the apology, haven't you? From I suppose I should apologise as well. Really,
because let's be honest, it's a very hollow apology anyway. So because when you were shouting it, you meant it.
Yeah. No, it was born out of respect.
Of course, it
for
was.
the damage that this man could do to our defensive line.
Indeed. Let's touch on the women's game initially because we've got the next World Cup in Brazil.
We have.
When there's been a lot of talk of that in the last few days, as our attention have turned to that. We've also got the Finalissima again, haven't we?
Yes. Don't know exactly when that's going to fit in the calendar yet, and we don't yet know who England are going to be facing because that's going to be decided in the final of the Copa America, which is Saturday night. Which yet again, it's become the big derby of South American women's football. Brazil versus wait for it. Colombia.
Okay.
Yes, it's not Argentina or the other power. It's Colombia.
Why is that? The Argentinians are not committed as much resource to women's football?
And also in women's football, they don't have the tradition that they have in the men's game.
Yeah.
Colombia, it was a big surprise to me. But I remember being in Colombia. I made a mate. She was a PE teacher. Discovered I was there for the Copa America 2001. And the next time I was back in the country, I went and visited her in the school where she was teaching. And she was doing women's football. And I couldn't believe it because Colombia's quite socially conservative, quite traditional. And they're playing women's football. This is 2003. So I thought, what's going on here? And she explained it to me. Said, you know what I'm doing after women's football? Cheerleader routines.
Oh, right.
It's because it had been legitimised in the United States.
Right.
As a legitimate activity for the female of the species.
Yeah, because the team were very strong, weren't they?
Yes,
the American team.
Exactly. Well, it caught on in the States first. And so that had given it the green light in Colombia. Wow. Now, there is a problem in South America, which is you don't have the real dynamic of competition that you have in Europe. And if you go back in women's football in Europe 25 years ago, Spain and England were nothing. You know, it was Germany, it was Sweden, it was Norway and so on.
Yeah.
But you've got so many countries and they're all pushing each other. You've got this dynamic of competition. In South America, you haven't. It's Brazil are way ahead of the pack. Colombia are trying hard. These teams did play each other in the group phase. It was the last group game, so Brazil fielded a weakened side, had their goalkeeper sent off early, and got a 0-0 draw. And Colombia will think they're in with a chance. But one of the problems that the game has is the Brazilian league. You're seeing exactly the same thing with club football, with the men's game. The Brazilian league is so dominant, it can just cherry pick from the other leagues. So if you're trying to launch a league, like Colombia, it's relatively new. If you're trying to launch a league, you're losing your stars because some of them will go to Europe, some of them will go to the United States, some of them will go to Brazil. Yeah. So it's very, very hard in the global age. It's hard to launch a league when the star names who are going to be filling the stadiums are not there anymore.
Sure. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So your money's on Brazil to win it again.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It would be a huge surprise. Would be a nice surprise, though, I think. Yeah. And in the last World Cup, Colombia were the only South American side to get out of the group.
Okay.
So they'll fancy themselves,
And if Brazil win it, you've been here to see the reaction of the Lionesses and the big parade. If Brazil's women do win it at the weekend, what will the reaction be like?
Nothing. We've had the Copa America since 1991. Brazil's won all the versions apart from one.
Right.
So winning a Copa America is, nothing. If they've never done it yet, but either Olympic gold or World Cup.
Yeah.
Different level. And them staging the World Cup in 2027, it's such a big opportunity. Firstly, it's non-controversial because there's no fuss about spending money on stadiums because they built them all for the Men's World Cup in 2014. So you got that.
The ones that aren't bus garages, of course. The one in Manaus.
Indeed. But also, you've got the promise that the Men's League will shut down for the duration. So it's going to be the only show in town. Okay. So it's going to have huge spotlight on it. And let's see if England and Spain and so on can beat Brazil in their backyard. It's going to be great.
I know you said obviously it's difficult for the Colombians to have a strong domestic league.
Yeah.
But for their national team, if their best players are going to play in United States, they're coming to play in the WSL,
they're getting better.
And that's going to make their national team even more relevant, which is going to be good for South America.
Exactly. It's really striking how you get a mismatch between the domestic football and the national team. I look in the men's game, look at Argentina. And Argentina are the world champions. They won the last 2 versions of the Copa America. Argentina's domestic league is a shambles, you know. So there's a complete disconnect between the two.
Let's talk a bit of transfers. And this increasing number of players we're seeing heading back home, heading back to Brazil because the money in the game is being added to by Emerson Royal, who looks like he's gone to Flamengo. And there's some talk of Gabriel Jesus as well. He's been linked to some clubs over here, but has also been linked with a move home. And it wasn't, we've talked for years about this, it was never a viable proposition, but now it is.
Well, especially with, because it will probably be Palmeiras where he started. They've got all this money from the Club World Cup. There's a lot of money there. You know. And just to put this into context, again, Argentina's the best example, I think. River Plate and Boca, they got knocked out in the group phase of the Club World Cup. But even so, the money that they made there was 40 times the amount of money that Platense got for winning the last Argentine championship. So that tells you, you know, there's new spending power in that. I mean, Flamengo have bought Emerson Royal. You know why he's called Emerson Royal? You know why Royal? It was his uncle, I think, because it was a little bit like the marketing symbol of a brand of jelly in Brazil. I always told you he was a little bit shaky. So
a bit wobbly at the back.
Indeed. They've signed Emerson Royal. They've signed Saul, Spaniard from Atletico Madrid. They've signed Samuel Lino, Brazilian from Atletico Madrid. They've signed another playmaker, Colombian playmaker called Carrascal, who's an international. They've got him from Russia. There's rumours about Paquetá as well. So there's a lot of money. It's burning a hole in their pockets. Where are they going to spend it on? So Gabriel Jesus now is viable, although on the club mainly, it seems to be in pole position. They broke the Brazilian transfer record with a centre forward. A fella called Vitor Roque, who was at Barcelona, didn't come off, he was on loan at Betis. They brought him back, so they've already got the most expensive player in the history of Brazilian football at centre forward. So quite well Gabriel Jesus is going to fit in. And it's been an injury-hit career, Gabriel Jesus, but also I wonder whether he's one of those players that Guardiola didn't develop very well. And also the whole career turns on the 2018 World Cup, because he goes to the 2018 World Cup as Brazil's centre forward with a fantastic scoring record. In the 2018 World Cup, playing in a good team and an attacking team, playing at centre forward, he failed to score a single goal. And that was seen as a real shame. And he's never managed to get rid of that one. The coach afterwards, I mean, he was telling me this, he said, where do you want to play? You know, I don't mind. And the coach said, well, obviously you've got a preference. Do you want to play through the middle? Do you want to play wide? And Gabriel kind of put his head down and said, I'd rather play wide. And what he was doing was running away from the responsibility of scoring the goals. And one of the last times he played for Brazil, they got beat at home by Argentina in World Cup qualification. And he said after the game, he said, scoring goals isn't my speciality. But going into that 2018 World Cup, he had a fantastic scoring record. So I think he still carries that trauma. I don't know, Perry, if you can relate to that as
I can feel his pain. No, but there is. I was never a centre forward. I couldn't hit a cow's backside of banjo, but I could run around and be a nuisance. But I was always a winger. And you look at Jesus when he came to Arsenal, he was brought there for his winning mentality, his attitude, because on the training ground, his attitude is exemplary, so you can then be an inspiration to the other players. And he is very, very well liked at Arsenal. Very well liked, you know, for what he brings. And Zinchenko came at the same time. And when he just started to look like he was get his fitness back, then he got another injury. And I think, you know, if you said where he was like to play, he'd be the perfect one to say, off a big man, thanks.
Right.
I want to play off a target man centre forward, so he can just buzz in and around him. But is it seen when the South American players and Brazilian players go back, like they're bringing something back to say thank you, that, you know, that's where they started and then they developed to an off? So are they taken, like, welcomed with open arms?
Yeah, usually. I mean, especially for... And I remember the old Juninho from Middlesbrough, when he went back... and he went back a little bit with his tail between his legs. It was after his second spell at Middlesbrough, and things hadn't really worked out for him. And within 3 games, he was back in the Brazil squad. You win 2 or 3 games, and
confidence.
And you're a hero again. You know, things can change really, really quickly. It's very like, for example, Fluminense were in the Club World Cup, right? They were a big surprise. They got to the semi-finals. They were seen as the fourth of the 4 Brazilian teams, and they went furthest. So they came back as heroes. That's 2 weeks ago. They've lost all 4 games since then, and the crowd's already getting on their back. It's a very volatile environment.
But is there more interest and more love for the Brazilian sort of domestic league now? We're seeing some of these big hitters coming back.
Yes, but it's still got lots of problems. It's got problems with the calendar. There's too many games. It's difficult to organise football in a country the size of a continent because it's giant. And there's so many games, and it really is draining. The clubs still don't organise a league. The clubs need to get together and organise a league with a better calendar. All they're doing is squabbling over TV rights. One of the big things they have to do is sort the pitches out. Look what happened to the Premier League when we sorted the pitches out.
Yeah.
Look how that improves the spectacle. Yeah. And quite a few of them have gone back. Especially Lucas Moura has been the ringleader of this, but with Thiago Silva and Neymar, they're saying, we can't have these plastic pitches, these synthetic pitches. And these synthetic pitches are coming in more and more because it's part of a business model where you can have Shakira do a show, and Lucas Moura and so on, they're coming from an environment where football is the main driver.
Sure.
And they're saying, hang on.
And he played for Spurs, let's not forget, where Shakira probably has done a show.
And also we can take one pitch out and put another pitch in.
Exactly.
That's true, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't want to spend the amount of money to do that. Yeah. So you have your plastic pitch, you can have Shakira, and you're not loca, because your team then has to play its game, its home game somewhere else. And we had Luis Suarez for a year playing for Gremio, and he was fantastic. He really was. I mean, I worry about him in later life because he's on dodgy knees. Yeah. I do worry about the damage that he's doing to himself, but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't play on a plastic. If it was plastic pitch, not doing it. Not having it.
Tim, it's been lovely to see you in the flesh.
Been lovely to be here.
Safe journey home.
Thank you very much.
And we will catch up with you next week, live from Rio, I guess. With the dog yapping in the background.
Yes, I don't have to bark myself now. I've got a dog to do it.
Ooh, you're rubbish. Get off, Vickery. You're rubbish. You waste the money. Get off.
See,
you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace to the shirt.
See how you like
I
it.
Deserved all of that.
Thank you, Tim. All the best. Tim Vickery there, our South American correspondent. More live racing to come after the news headlines. Nice one, mate.
Wondered why Erling Haaland scores a hat-trick instead of just 3 goals? Why Darwin Núñez is said to have missed a sitter rather than just missing an easy shot? Or why on earth defenders are said to park the bus? Let's break down some of our favourite football cliches. First, let's talk hat-tricks. The term comes from cricket.
Yes, it is Hawksbee and Groves here on talkSPORT. Coming up at 4 o'clock, Andy Golsey and Gabby Agbonlahor would drive. Yesterday, the fellas got chatting about Jack Grealish, understandably. And Andy asked Gabby where he felt that a good place for him would be. And, this is what he had to say. He was talking Everton.
He should look at it as it's a World Cup year. Can I go on loan somewhere where the team's going to play to my strengths? That's what I'd be saying if I was him. Is David Moyes going to create a squad of players? They've got an exciting player, NDI, on the left-hand side. A team where I'm going to play in that number 10 position or on the left. And I'm going to enjoy my football. I'm going to get my goals and assists. And then you look at it at the end of next year, still have a year left in Manchester City, and say, has that opened the door for a bigger move?
Yeah, so Gab thinks Everton. I was looking at the betting today, Perry. People having a punt on where Jack turns up next. 11-4 you'll get for Villa with some of the bookies. West Ham have been mentioned, 14-1. Spurs, who tried to sign him before he went to City, for a whole lot cheaper, of course, 20-1. Napoli, 8-1. Everton are the favourites at the moment, 2-1. So, I mean, look, if he feels like he could have a good season and get back into the World Cup set up for next year, what do you see as a good move?
Do you know what? I think he's just got to go and enjoy his football. And he struggled in his first season at Man City, because everybody says about Guardiola and the tactics you have to take on board. And he was used to being under Dean Smith at Villa. He was like the best player. Yeah. And he didn't have no defensive duties, basically.
Just give Jack the ball.
Give him the ball from obviously in the Championship, getting promoted and then getting in, obviously, the Premier League. And don't bother really tracking back because you want all your energy going forward. Then he had to take all that tactics on board from Guardiola, and he doesn't have lazy players, so you've got to do your tracking back and, defensive stuff. And then he goes on and wins a treble, and, he's instrumental in that treble winning side. And you think, right, then you can kick on. Because Kevin De Bruyne has come into, the end of his career, and he really, really struggled last season for game time, and you could tell that he'd lost his enjoyment of football. He's what I said before, like the street football or the programme football. You have to be enjoying yourself. Yeah. Finances again are going to come into it because obviously he's on really good money at Man City. Now he has the decision to make of whether he's going to take a hit on his basic wages if he gets a permanent move, or he goes out on loan. And
at this stage of the window, I mean, it's not the end of them, but you kind of sense it could be a late loan somewhere. It's going to be loan somewhere, and he'll be Man City will pay some of his wages. The club that he goes to. I know Gabby said about Everton, but he's got to go, and it's great Everton going into Barnsley Moor Dock and a new fantastic stadium, which is brilliant. But David Moyes has always been in the paper saying that they're in a really, really difficult situation because they've lost so many players. They've not got a lot of money to bring players in, and he's blaming Moshiri for that, which is understandable. But he's not getting the back in that he thought he should be getting from Freaking. So, and style of football makes a big difference. Yeah, because David Moyes is known as a pragmatic manager, where difficult to beat and you hit teams on a counter-attack. It's not like a pressing game. So he's got a massive decision to make at 29 years of age. But going back to Villa, I think the style of football would suit him because they want to play a pressing game. Yeah. Do you think he could play the way he'd like to play under Emery? You think? I think he'd have to be, which he would be, more defensively disciplined. But I think he would like the front foot aggressive football from Unai Emery. You obviously got likes of Morgan Rogers there, who's likes to play in the 10 position. Everton, you got Iliman Ndiaye, who plays on the left hand side. I must admit, I think he's got your mob written all over him. He has. I mean, Tottenham have done a fair bit of business. They've got Odegaard who can play there. Son's leg, we know Son's legs. Well, it looks like he could be off to the States. So they got Matthias Tell who can play there as well. And if where you're going to play Jack, I mean, he does feel very Spurs, and they tried to sign him a while back, but you've still got James Maddison in that sort of position as well. Yeah. So you said he could play off the left. He could play as the 10, but then you got James Maddison. You're in the Champions League, and it might suit Spurs as a deal that Man City play, 50%, 60% wages, and Spurs pick up the other, because we all know for well that Spurs aren't going to pay over like £120,000 a week for anybody. So he's not going to have. It's not going to be difficult for him. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be loads of clubs that are coming in. Sure.
but it's got to be style of football.
This is a really important move for him.
Absolutely. And do you know what? I know everybody's saying about getting in the World Cup squad, and at the end, that will be a massive bonus. All he wants to do now, he wants to play. He wants to be the first choice, because this is where you peak. I always say, professional footballer, the modern day footballer, you peak from probably 27 to now 32, 33. It used to be 30, then your legs are gone basically, but now the way they look after their bodies. So he's still got another good 3-4 seasons where he's at his peak. And if you get him back to enjoying himself, we all know how fantastic he is, obviously, like 1v1s and taking people on.
Yeah.
But last season, he lost it.
Yeah, he did.
And when he was left on the bench in the FA Cup final, that was the sign where he thought, you're not even bringing me on when we need to try and create something.
That did feel like the end game.
Oh, no, I'm gone. Exactly, yeah.
Just very quickly, David Ornstein from The Athletic reporting that Manchester United are prioritising Benjamin Sesko. We were chatting about him earlier on, if they're going to sign a striker this summer. We were chatting, I think, Kevin Hatchard the other day, and Leipzig, I think the release clause is around 80-odd million, and the feeling is that will come down the nearer it gets to the close of the window. But it's a game of poker, really. If somebody else jumps and pays in the vicinity of that, you miss out on the player. So they say that Davies is also a target for Newcastle United, but Manchester United may be prioritising him over Ollie Watkins, who we were chatting about.
Do you know what? I would 100% go for Ollie Watkins, because, mate, it looked like they'd change their philosophy, where they've been stung, haven't they? Like players coming from outside the Premier League, like the Xerxes and the Hoylands.
For all the reasons we said earlier on, that Amorim needs to hit the ground running this season, so he probably does prefer an oven-ready striker who knows the Premier League. But, maybe they're looking at it as an investment.
Why won't they get Cunha? Because they know it's the risk-reward.
Yeah.
There's not as much risk, is there? Because you know exactly what you're getting, and they can handle the Premier League.
Well, don't forget Transfer Insiders this evening. Sam Ellard and Harry Symeou with you from 7 o'clock. I'm sure they'll be covering that story and the one we brought you earlier on about Eze and Arsenal looking to trigger that release clause and get their man. North London derby tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be keeping an eye on that for you as well over in Hong Kong. But we've got one final race for you, and we'll be heading back to glorious Goodwood in a few moments' time. We're here with Toolstation this summer. Shop Toolstation's award-winning Hawksbee lawnmower range in-store, on the app and online. Next stop, Toolstation. So we head back to glorious Goodwood, where surprisingly and shockingly, Team Rupert leads Team Lizzie in the tipsters competition. The world's worst tipster is 1-0 up.
It's a bit binary, isn't it?
Well, so Lizzie, this is your chance. You've got to redeem yourself in this final race on our show today. So how do you see this one?
Okay, so I like model Yuko, trained by Roger Varian. This is her handicap debut. She won last time. She won a fillies maiden last time over a mile, so she certainly looked like she was going to shape up to improve over a mile too as well.
Nearly all in for this 3:45. They are indeed. Rather slowly away was Whisper, slowly into her stride, but up front I see Model Yuko and also Bazza Dancer are the first two. At a pretty strong gallop, and on this near side, Asher Reba is ploughing a lone furrow on the away from the rest of the field, and is probably just shading it. Taking a keen hold is Sylvester de Souza on Model Yuko, who's leading the other group, and now Asher Reba tracks over to join the rest of the field and now has gone into a length lead. Also up there is Bazza Dancer. On the inside of that one is Safi Osborne on Wonder Star, taking a bit of a keen hold, and then it's Quabella. Next to that one is Patagonia Girl, and also up there is Lady Chartwell. But leading them at this stage is Asher Reba as they start and have settled down and making the rise of ground before the turn into the straight, Lizzie.
Yeah, Model Yuko seems to have settled down a little bit. Wonder Star going nicely in a prominent position. Also Patagonia Girl travelling nicely along with Quabella.
Well, towards the rear, Akachita is towards the back of the field, as is the slow starting Whisper, as they now start to make the turn into the straight. They've got about 3.5 furlongs to go, and it's a steady enough pace at the moment, but the long-time leader Asher Reba still leads from Model Yuko, who is leading them down the straight. Also up there, Bazza Dancer just looking to come under a bit of pressure. Quabella seems to be travelling well at this stage, as does Lady Chartwell on the outside, starting to pick up his music piece if this one can find a run through, but they've got the split to come and maybe coming up on the inside. But now out in front still Asher Reba has the advantage. Model Yuko is coming out, and also Quabella trying to hit. There's plenty in with chances. Wonder Star and Lady Chartwell are going well at this stage. Looking at Wonder Star on the far side, driving for all his worth is Sylvester de Souza on Model Yuko, and also Kehana is coming up on this near side, and another one coming out of the pack is Akachita, but maybe just holding on to Asher Rita. Asher Rita, well, that was a very astute piece of riding from Tom Marquand, because he ploughed a lone furrow in the early part of the race, maybe looking for some better ground, tracked over, and actually was never headed.
No, fantastic. What a lovely performance from her. She made that look relatively straightforward. There were horses coming at her left, right and centre, but she managed to cling on nicely enough.
Well, it is an 8-1 winner, which it seems fairly... well, nothing like earlier, where there's still head scratching going around here about the performance of Field of Gold. But John Gosden's made no excuses, says they let the pacemaker go. And Kirat obviously stole that race, but they're not making any excuses for the shock defeat of Field of Gold. Just possibly saying didn't quite handle the track and wasn't at his best. But that's no doubt the main story of the day. But Tom Marquand, great to see him getting a winner from a local trainer here, David Menussier, and Asher Reba holding on for victory.
Did either of you feature in the frame? Can you tell us?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I did.
Lizzie.
But I don't know if I was second or third.
This could be the difference between winning and losing today's tipsters competition.
Well, who did you tip, Rupert?
He went with Patagonia Girl.
I went with Patagonia Girl. I think she's...
So, no, you haven't...
No, you may have... Oh, dear, Wonder Stuff.
I've either beaten you or drawn, but I'm not sure.
Model Yuko, is that your one?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
She was either second or third.
Oh, hello. Oh, dear. I think I've lost.
Oh, dear.
Stu's inquiry, Rupert. Stu's inquiry.
So you think it's second for Model Yuko?
No, we're trying.
Well, I've either won 2 points or 1 point.
Right. Well, I think
so I've either drawn or won.
I think it's important we find out. We haven't got the start.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
This is like EastEnders. Where's the duffers?
Never mind the winner.
Yes.
Well, the tension is palpable here. Just looking at the closing stages, you've got a chance here. Wonder Star, maybe. I hope Wonder Star deprives Model Yuko of second spot. I think, it's going to be close. The tension is mounting. We're looking at the closing stage. Oh, no.
Oh, Rupert.
I think you've done it. Oh. Leap. What do you think?
I need to know. I don't know. And here we go. No. I've
only third.
What a shame. So honours even.
At least I didn't lose.
Yes. Honours even today, 1-1.
Yeah.
As incompetent as it gets.
Oh, well. Not to worry. That was an easy day. We'll forgive your field of gold. And what's on the agenda tonight, Lizzie? Where are you dining?
I think we're going to a giggling squid.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. That'll be nice.
Tomato soup?
Well,
yes, you start with tomato soup and a tomato salad, followed by tomato
mozzarella, sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I want the fresh ones.
Oh,
I'm not. Yeah, no, but I'm looking forward to it. Tomatoes in all different
various
ways.
guises.
She loves a coloured tomato.
Marvellous. Okay. Well, we'll see you tomorrow, Rupert and Lizzie. Have a fine evening. We'll have a debrief then, and we'll go again in the tipsters comp, which at the moment is 1-0 to Lizzie and a draw today. So anyway,
and Lizzie's 4-2 up on aggregate.
Yes, she is. But we're not doing that. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers. Rupert, Bell and Lizzie Kelly. There are more commentaries, 5 more commentaries tomorrow for you.
So that was really funny. They pretend that it doesn't mean anything to them, but it does.
Well, I mean, that's right. Yesterday, Lizzie said, I'm not really into these tipsters competitions. Now she's getting very, very competitive. Of course she is. So, you've been telling us about showboating this afternoon. This was off of a story from the world of snooker. And we've had some good stories from you. Where's it gone? This is from... You put their name on this one. Somebody says they love the show. We didn't put their name on it to get a bit of a credit. Yes, in the 90s I worked in a bar in Ibiza. As a 21-year-old kung fu fan, I discovered some wooden nunchucks in the cellar. I told my boss I could easily knock off a polystyrene cup from the back of his hand. I gave it a go. But one swing later, we were off to the hospital with 2 broken knuckles. I didn't get asked back the following summer. Oh dear, what a corker. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet to TSH and J if you want to add to those. We've still got a couple more squeezing. What's the time? Yeah, we've still got time to talk about players. I mean, there was a funny story yesterday. Alexander Isak's house, where he's been renting in Newcastle, popped up on Rightmove. It was only up there for a short time, and I don't know if it was a bit of devilment or what, but it went up and came down quite quickly. And it talks of the sort of transient nature of, sometimes in life, every footballer you talk to says, the wives and the kids, everybody's on tenterhooks around the transfer windows, because you never quite know where you're going to be living or going to school from one day to the next. I mean, did you? I mean, you never. I mean, you went down to Southampton, but you probably would have had to relocate. Of course, you couldn't.
The Southampton one. Yeah. When I signed for Southampton, obviously from Arsenal, because I dropped down the pecking order.
Yeah.
So then you go to Southampton and you sign your contract, and they say, right, what we do is we'll put you in the Hilton Hotel just to come off the M3, put you in there for 3 months, and Kerry Dixon was in there as well, and Dave Speedy, and then you got yourself time to look for a rented property. We'll pay a year. Your first year, we'll pay your rent, and then obviously, if you want to buy down here, then it's up to you.
Sure.
So I was in the hotel with Kerry Dixon, and I said to my wife at the time, Lewis and Drew, I think, were 3 and 1 at the time, so I had 2 young boys and a dog called Dexter Springer Spaniel.
Right.
So I said, all right, whilst I'm down there, I'll go and look for some rental properties. I go to estate agents, and the time we had in the hotel, Kerry Dixon and Dave Speedy, it was like a cross between an 18 to 30 and all-inclusive holiday, right? When we play, you don't play hard, and then work hard, play hard, work hard. It was more play hard, play hard, play hard. And my wife kept saying to me, after about 4 months, the club was saying to me, Perry, you've got to get yourself a rented place. And my wife was saying, any danger? Like, we're supposed to be coming down. And I went, it's a nightmare because I keep trying to get these rented places, but they don't take dogs. Right, so I use that excuse. I was in the hotel in for 8 months with Kerry and David Speedy, and all the other lads didn't want me to get a rented place because they could come back, because one of the few places, because you're in the hotel, then the bar stays open. So all the young lads were coming back, like the Nicky Baines was coming into the team, David Hughes, Neil Maddison went on to have really good careers.
So it was like Party Central.
Yeah, so we took them under our wing. So
great.
Exactly. So when we played, we said, yeah, if you win, all back, we bang on it. Yeah, so I was in the Hilton Hotel, resident in the Hilton.
You weren't like Alan Partridge, sort of moping around with your big plate.
It wasn't like the Norwich Hotel. Yeah.
That sounds like a bit of a bad mistake by Southampton. Surely they would have put the three of you in different hotels. What could, with those three people, what could possibly go wrong?
In their defence, we did sign at different times.
Yeah.
Like Speedo and Kerry are there before me, and then they put me in there. But I thank Dexter, my Springer Spaniel, for giving me one of the best 8 months.
Poor old Dexter. And did you ever buy any? Because you got injured down there.
Yeah, I got injured after 15 games, so I never bought. I actually moved again next to Terry Hurlock. What could have gone wrong? I was there in Chandler's Ford. Oh. But when I signed from Colchester to Arsenal, so George Graham sat me down, and it was no negotiation because I'm just saying, I want to sign. So I was on 150 quid a week. He put me on 350, and he said, £5,000 sign-on fee. And I'm thinking, helicopter, little island somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Because it was big. And he went, we'll give you £5,000 relocation fee. And he said, I want you to move closer to the training ground because I don't want you further than an hour away.
And where was the training ground?
Training ground was London Coney, so still next door, basically.
Okay, right.
Watford playing our old training ground now.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, Gaffer, no problem. So then I got a friend of mine, Mick Duffett, was a plumber, to give me a Moody invoice to pretend that he'd move me, right, for 4,700 and whatever. Blimey. So I gave him £1,000 and then didn't move. So I sent the invoice obviously into the club because it looked like I'd moved. Yeah. So I was late a couple of times, and George Graham pulled me in and he went, wait, said, you're supposed to be moving. I said, I have. And I'd lived in Highwoods, which is the Ipswich side of Colchester, but I only moved 5 miles closer, the other side of Colchester, Stanway. Wow. And I went, I have moved closer. And he went, what do you mean? I said, well, I've moved to Stanway. And he just looked, look on your face. He said, you ginger, whatever. You think I'm that stupid? I went, well, I'm closer, Gaffer. And technically, and he went, right. Normally you get fined 10% of your wages if you're late, even if you're a minute late. He was very, very strict. And he said, you're going to be on 15% of your wages if you're late.
Oh, no.
So Theo Foley for like 3 months was like clocking me in when I was coming around the M25, making sure I got on time.
I just like the idea that players now, you have all the kind of liaison officers at the club, and so much of that would be managed. The idea of you getting a plumber to put in a hooky invoice for £1,000.
Yeah. And you know what? It was.
I can't see Alexander Isak doing that if he's got to move nearer Liverpool.
Yeah.
On a slot sitting him down saying, how close have you moved to? Well, I have, Gaffer, definitely. I've got this plumber who's done an invoice for me.
I think it might be given to his people, mightn't it? Somehow with his
Wow-wee.
Yeah, so how times have changed.
Yeah.
So there's always a little loophole.
So you're in the course of this afternoon, Perry, while you've been sitting here, you were pretty chipper anyway around the business Arsenal had done. And our producer Sean, who's a fellow Arsenal fan, and he was saying, like at 1 o'clock, at 1:45, you're having an Arsenal loving. I was desperately trying to get out of it. Him saying, if we get Eze as well, it's been our best window.
Oh, that was you who was whistling, was it? I thought there was a phantom whistler somewhere.
I couldn't listen to any more of it. So, in the interim 3 hours, we have discovered that Eze looks like it could be happening. So you're very happy. Are you going into tomorrow's North London derby?
Yeah, I think all Gooners would be happy because the transfer business that has been done has exceeded expectations. Because I'd have been happy with a centre forward, and obviously we need another centre half, which we've got. And then Zubamende, who's an upgrade in the midfield area. I said about Norgard and Kepa. So Madueke coming in gives you that 1v1.
Yeah.
Eze just gives you it's a different level.
Perry, we've got to go. And let me just say, I'm absolutely delighted for you.
Thanks for that, Paul. I'll pass on your best wishes to everybody at the Emirates tomorrow.
Lovely to see you.
Cheers, mate.
And I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks very much. You're back on Sunday, aren't you?
Yes, with Hugh Wizencross, the Sunday session 2 till 5.
Fantastic. I'll be back with Charlie tomorrow. We'll have a birthday spread. Andy will join us for that. Coming up next, it is Andy Goldstein and Gabby Agbonlahor with Drive.